At Jiang City, a woman's scream echoed through the building. Yuji yawned, confused by the sound. A woman screamed and asked who he was, which made him even more confused with eyes wide. The woman named Lin confronted him about being in her room and his actions towards her. He looked at her in surprise as he couldn't process what was going on. His mouth parted as he thought of his previous memory. As far as he could remember, he was in the middle of the universe. He was the undefeated Demon King, fighting against the three great emperors. He looked at his hand in shock, wondering what was going on. He then cupped his face, feeling the pain in his head. He remembered figures, mocking him for being a waste in the family. They even called him a piece of shit, saying that he does not belong in their family. They then ordered to kill him for being a weakling. Still processing, Yuji wondered if he had been reborn as a human. Lin grabbed a pillow and called him out. She then threw it directly on his face. She was mad at him for taking away what she held so dearly. He then fell from the bed he was sitting on. Lin turned her face, hearing a sound outside. A bunch of people were running towards their room. It was the journalists, taking advantage of the trap to lure Yuji to Yudo's grasp. Lin became worried because the journalists found out, and it would tarnish her life. It would also cause her to lose it because of her fiancé. Yuji got up from the fall while Lin was unable to move. His brows furrowed, knowing that it was a trap. Yuji realized that it was a setup for them to lose both their position and lives, which prompted him to wonder about the culprit behind this act. The journalist asked the other one if he got a good look, to which he answered that he did and thanked Hoku for it. Yuji heard about their conversation, wondering who Hoku was. He remembered the guy who tormented him before. Hoku was drowned in envy because the old man was fond of him. Yuji lifted his head and stared at him with such fiery eyes. Hoku noticed his gaze and questioned him. He then smirked widely, mocking him for being a waste. Going back, Yuji's brows furrowed even with his eyes closed. He then opened it and glared menacingly. He was now engulfed with a dark red aura, finally uncovering who was behind all that. It then lurked around the room, finding its way out to escape. It touched the pot, which caused the plant to wither. The dark aura then surrounded the whole building. It then became enormous, as if covering the city. It even surrounded the trees, causing the people around to look at it in awe. It managed to touch every plant and animal there was. The red aura surged towards the mountain. It then landed on the ground and created a whirlpool out of it. The aura formed and turned into Yuji, smirking as he was waiting for his body. He then laughed in utter excitement, forming a fist after getting himself together. His eyes glowed red as he whispered Hoku's name. He walked towards the forest, finding it interesting. Meanwhile, the journalists arrived and kicked the door of Lin's room. The latter shouted while covering herself, mistaking it for a thief. The journalists wondered what was going on because they couldn't find Yuji inside. It then caught Lin's attention. She looked behind in confusion because he was just there inside. Her gaze landed on the plant in confusion because it had withered. Arriving in front of the building, Hoku and his assistant got out of the car. He then lit a cigarette. He then smirked and thought about how the old man would protect him in the dispute. His assistant commended him for being smart and not dirtying his own hand. He then grabbed his phone and answered the call. He informed Hoku that journalist Jang was calling. Hoku then told him to hurry up and answer the call, which he followed. His face suddenly seemed to be disturbed. Hoku got impatient and asked why it was getting longer. The assistant turned around in horror, saying that Lin was all alone. Hoku looked at him in rage. He instantly grabbed the phone and furiously asked them. Jang confirmed that no one was really there except Lin, which angered him more. His eyes suddenly widened, seeing the man in front of him. Covered in red aura, Yuji smiled and asked if he planned all the acts. His assistant told him that it was Yuji, which he already knew. He tossed the phone to his assistant while cursing the paparazzi. He then faced Yuji, arrogantly admitting that it was really him. He deemed him a waste, saying that he will never inherit their family. He pulled out a knife, looking at him with so much rage. He rushed towards him, eager to make him vanish. But Yuji did not move a finger and just smirked at him. He easily dodged his thrust towards him. Hoku kept on attacking him while swearing that he won't be alive after. But Yuji just hummed and smirked at him. He then grabbed Hoku's neck and told him to stop playing. While he was struggling to breathe, Yuji told him that it's gonna be him who won't see the sun again. Hoku gritted his teeth as he trembled in fear. His eyes widened in shock. Behind Yuji were the dragons of the underworld, while he wonders what he tastes like. He cursed at the back of his mind, wondering what's in front of him. He shivered in fear as it was about to eat him. He then jumped out of its grip. He ran away from it while the dragon was still chasing after him. He asked his assistant to move faster, which he followed instantly. He shut the car's door and hurriedly moved away from Yuji. They managed to get away, but the dark aura was still chasing after them. He was still shivering in fear while cursing Yuji out. His assistant pointed out the sign on the roof, which made him look up. Yuji was still left standing there with the red aura in his hand. He was smiling while holding the same sign that appeared on the roof. He then shut his fist and broke it. Hoku panicked and told his assistant to jump right off the car to evade. He frantically asked him again while the aura slowly engulfed him. The car suddenly burned down and caused a massive explosion. Hoku was now wounded and lying on the ground. His eyes narrowed while thinking that Yuji was a demon. His eyes then slowly shut with the same thought. Yuji swept the thought away and decided to keep Hoku alive. His eyes turned red with determination to kill him if something goes wrong. He then walked through the night. He looked up at the sky and wondered about the demon planet and Hera. He remembered that she blocked the attack that was originally for him. He gritted his teeth because of how strong the attack was. He then shouted in anger and called for her name. Hera turned her face and called him softly. Lying on the ground, she admitted that she only wanted to be with him no matter what. She held his hand and closed her eyes with a smile. The great emperor once again followed up an attack, but he didn't dodge it. His brows furrowed, wondering if Hera also reincarnated. But he waved it off because she was the Star Empress, and she's also stronger. He then bowed his head and grinned, asking her to wait. He emitted a red aura while still on the water. He raised his hand, vowing that he will return to be the Demon King once again. The dark aura surged through the water, with him being engulfed by it. He smirked, knowing that the body he's in is weak. He then raised his hand upward, smirking because the earth has an abundance of life force. His face turned into a demon, swearing that the people's life force will be his. He activated his soul, devouring the art of birth. The fishes suddenly turned dead through the lake. At the riverside of Hu City, an old man was fishing, while the girl seemed to be bored. She scolded her grandpa for sneaking out. She shouted at him because he treated them poorly despite their status. Yuji turned his gaze with a smirk. He then walked ahead and told them that it's just a warning out of goodwill. Ben revealed that he had an illusion of fighting with an ancient beast by the looks of him. He added that it could have been a snap of his finger to kill him. Zhang admitted that Ben's instinct never fails, so they indeed fought with a big one. Ben revealed that Yuji reminded him of the legendary individual from the Ace Squad, which surprised Zhang. He shut his eyes and fell into his thoughts. Suddenly, Yumi called him out and asked him to look. She informed them that the fishes on the river were all dead. At the city school, Yuji was walking alone in the middle. The people around him threw a nasty look towards him. He realized that Yuji was really hated by everyone around him. He realized how weak the body was, but fortunate enough to use his identity. He heard the rumors about him with Lin. It prompted him to turn around and look at the one who spoke. It was Koto and his ex-girlfriend, Fuki. Yuji recalled how obsessed he was with her that he fell into depression after breaking up. Koto mocked him for his existence, saying that his family and the Gong family had been looking for him. Yuji asked if he was done talking, because he opted to go. He turned his back and started walking away, leaving them in embarrassment. His action enraged Koto, which made him grab his shoulder with such force. It prompted him to stop walking. Koto clenched his teeth because Yuji dared to ignore him. The latter apologized, saying that he was having a hard time hearing the sound of a mole. It enraged Koto more, but Fuki cut him off and told Yuji to apologize now. Koto suddenly smirked before him. He grabbed Fuki and asked if he was mad because he stole her. He pointed him out and called him a trash who's not worthy of Fuki. Memories of how he and Fuki were before started flooding in, making Yuji look up in confusion. His eyes suddenly narrowed. He then smirked and told him that she was not worthy of his anger. He added that Koto seemed to be nature-loving because he was grabbing trash like her. The students around them began murmuring, knowing that it would cause a big trouble for him. Koto clenched his teeth and shivered in rage while throwing insults at him. He threw a tantrum in front of him, saying that he couldn't stand a chance against him. Fuki also retaliated, faking that she was blinded in the past and cursing him over. Yuji turned his back, not minding everything that they had said, and even congratulated the two of them. Koto's eyes bulged out as he became even more furious about it. He then leapt upward for a punch to teach him a lesson. Yuji suddenly warned him to stop, saying that he will drop dead if he continues. Someone suddenly showed up, which made Yuji look back and alerted him. It was Yumi, warning everyone not to touch him because he was her boyfriend. Koto froze on the spot, deeming it impossible. Meanwhile, the two of them started bickering around. The people around them were in utter shock because Yumi is the school's beauty. They continued trashing Yuji out in disbelief, which prompted Yumi to warn all of them again. Koto gritted his teeth as he shivered in fear. He then bowed down and told her that he won't dare to go against her family. Yumi's eyes became really cold as she affirmed. She turned to Yuji and pretended to be in a loving relationship with him, but he seemed to ignore it, which prompted her to call him out. She was left confused when he started walking ahead. He stopped in front of Koto, warning him to stop bothering him. He smiled widely and grabbed his shoulder, thanking him for taking Fuki away. The latter suddenly clinging to Koto, trying to explain herself. But Kodo didn't listen and gave her a punch. She landed on the ground, while he was mad at her for being an all-boys girl. He turned his gaze to Yuji, being furious at what had just happened. Meanwhile, Yuji and Yumi were now walking around the school, and she asked if there was a way for him to thank her for helping him out. Yuji was confused about it, saying that he doesn't have anything except his handsome face. His eyes narrowed and only offered what he had, which prompted Yumi to react in utter shock. She started storming off, because he treated her just like that. Yuji overthinks the future, because she made it look like he was already taken. He asked for fees for what she did, which surprised her. She then cursed at him in rage, and mentioned the black card Ben gave him. Yuji blankly told her that it came from her grandfather and not hers. She got really annoyed and started looking for money, but when she looked up, Yuji was no longer with her. Her curse echoed to the whole school because of annoyance. Yumi initially planned to get close to him because of her grandfather, but it seems like Yuji had already seen through her. She vowed to uncover his identity and the secrets he has. Arriving near the classroom, Yuji heard the rumors about him. The two boys had been talking about the Gong family and his being furious at him. He smirked and decided to mess with the boys, because they keep bringing him up. He then walked inside the classroom, passing through Kodo's direction. The latter smirked, waiting for the moment he crumbles. His guy friends suddenly rushed inside the classroom. He frantically called Yuji and asked him to hurry. Gasping for breath, he asked him to go because the situation had not been good. Yuji turned his gaze at him while Kodo smirked. His friend asked why he wasn't in a hurry, revealing that he might die. He pointed outside, saying that the Gong family brought so many people to kill him. Yuji lowered his gaze and thought that he should see it himself. He grabbed his shoulder, telling him to calm and sit down. His friend's mouth parted in confusion, unable to believe what he had said. His friend named Robi did not listen, asking him to run away because the Gong family isn't easy to deal with. He added that they were already on their way to him, but Yuji only smirked at him. He once again grabbed his shoulder and instantly pressed him down on the chair. Robi was surprised because he felt how strong Yuji was. The latter became serious as his eyes narrowed. Three goons suddenly kicked the classroom's door. They went inside without permission. The goon in the middle asked which among them was Yuji, while Kodo seized the chance and stood up. He called him Brother Waku, pointing Yuji at the back. He smirked, thinking that he could mess with him once he is crippled. Robi got mad and tried to stand up for Yuji, but the latter pressed him down again and told him to stay. Robi cried on the inside because of how strong Yuji was. Waku answered coldly. He then started walking towards Yuji. He leaned closer to him and started insulting him, but Yuji just smiled and asked if they were the trash Kodo brought. Waku's face became twisted in rage, clarifying if he really called him trash. Yuji waved his hand and denied it. He smiled sweetly and clarified that he was referring to them all. Kodo was so shocked that he looked at him in an instant. He wondered if his guts came from the backing of Yumi's family. The two goons suddenly stepped up, threatening to tear his ears off. Waku decided to give him two options to choose from. His first option is for him to apologize and praise him, and the second one would be his arm and leg, but Yuji only grinned at him. The latter then activated his demonic eyes, causing Waku to stand frozen in shock. He looked at him, only to find out that he looked like a demon. Yuji's demonic form asked if he was so sure about his options. His face turned dull in horror, thinking that he was hallucinating. His eyes then narrowed. He still stood by what he proposed despite the chill that he felt from fear. Yuji smirked upon hearing his words. He then turned his back at them. He sat on the table confidently as if he was planning something. He then activated his soul-devouring eyes while also proposing an option. Waku and the others stood in haze as the red aura engulfed them, their eyes suddenly turning red as if being hypnotized. Yuji gazed at them and commanded them to kneel down, while Kodo began letting out a chuckle. He then burst into laughter, thinking that he lost his mind because he ordered Waku. But the four of them seemed to be under Yuji's command, because a loud thud suddenly echoed inside. Waku and the three others were now kneeling before Yuji, prompting Kodo to curse in utter shock. He panicked and grabbed Waku, confused as to why he was kneeling in front of the trash. He tried to shake and called his name, but it did not work. Yuji smirked and had a bold idea. He pointed at Kodo and told him that he was the Yuji they were looking for. They all stood up together and confirmed that they were indeed looking for him. Waku then stared at Kodo, which prompted the latter to ask if they were okay. He once again called out his name because he did not respond. A punch suddenly landed on his face, while Waku swore to beat Yuji out. Kodo was now on the ground while still being buffled. He sat down and tried to stop Waku, saying that he wasn't Yuji. The latter found it exciting and even mocked Kodo while he was being bullied. While Robi looked at his smiling friend in disbelief, a kick suddenly landed on Kodo's stomach. He could barely stand up when another attack followed. The attack landed directly on his face, once again followed by an elbow on his jaw. The onlookers were confused if Koto ever offended Waku. Koto shivered in fear, pleading for them to stop beating him. He covered his head as they loomed before him. Waku and his goons started walking away, walking out the classroom as if nothing happened. Roby boldly asked if he was really the Yuji he knew. The latter sneered, leaving Roby in confusion and shock. He flashed a smile, asking if Roby couldn't recognize him. He looked at him with eyes glowing, saying that he wasn't a human but a demon. Koto was limping as he stood up from his seat and walked out. At the same time, the teacher named Rini entered the classroom, but she was surprised to see Koto roughly beaten up. She wore a skeptical look when he walked out after a lame excuse. Meanwhile, Yuji sat confidently as the class began. His eyes then began glowing upon looking at the teacher. He stood up in shock, noticing something about the teacher. It turns out that Rini actually possesses the innate spiritual physique. If he could get a drop of her blood, he can enhance his vitality and gain extra life. Suddenly, something caught his attention. He saw a mosquito flying near Rini. The latter turned around and walked across the room. Yuji remained silent as he watched the mosquito follow her. Suddenly, he smacked the mosquito right into Rini's buns. The latter was so surprised that she squealed. Everyone in the room stared in both shock and awkwardness. Rini angrily turned around, blushing in embarrassment as she scolded Yuji. The latter reasoned out that he just killed a mosquito flying around her, but Rini was still angry and kicked him out of the class. Afterward, Yuji stood silently along the hallway. Despite that, he was still happy that he caught the mosquito. He thought it was truly precious and is worth taking a slap for it. Still, he was baffled how something rare in the galaxy can be found on Earth. Nighttime quickly came, and he found himself in a bar. He asked Roby why he called him there, to which the latter clung to Yuji and said his girlfriend broke up with him. Finding it annoying, Yuji grabbed his face and pushed him away, but he was baffled when Roby said that he values friendship. It turns out that Roby cut off his relationship with her because she humiliated his brother Yuji. The latter couldn't help but smile upon seeing his loyalty to him. Suddenly, Roby pointed over the counter and told Yuji to look. He gestured toward Rose, one of the most famous bartenders in the city. He called her attention and placed 2 orders of her most expensive cocktail. Rose acknowledged his order and told him to wait. Suddenly, Yuji declares that Rose is poisoned. The latter was surprised as she turned toward him. She asked what he meant, to which Yuji told her that trouble is right at her doorstep. Roby was surprised and asked what nonsense he was spewing. Yuji only scoffed, leaving Rose baffled. Yuji said that that person is already on his way to the door. Just then, a man named Wolf quietly entered the bar. He tipped over a table with his foot. With an arrogant look, he asked Rose if there's even anyone who can save her now. He added that he will cure her poison if she agreed to be with him. Meanwhile, Yuji seemed to recognize the man. Rose then announced that whoever could beat Wolf wouldn't have to pay for drinks anymore. Hearing this, a muscular man confidently declared that he would do it. Wolf recognized the man, who's the undefeated boxing king named Tiger. He warned him not to mess with him for his own sake, but Tiger was stubborn and insisted on fighting Wolf. Without further ado, he launched a powerful punch directly to Wolf's face. The latter only smiled as he watched Tiger's fist approaching him. All of a sudden, he transformed into mist and dodged the attack effortlessly. He prepares for a counterattack while Tiger tries to regain his footing. Afterward, he unleashed a powerful fist attack that connected to his back. Tiger suffered internal damage from the impact of that punch. He then collapsed to the ground, defeated and unconscious. Wolf stepped on him and asked Rose if there were still any challengers. Rose and Roby couldn't believe what had just happened. Wolf scoffed, seeing that no one dares to fight him anymore. He then kicked Tiger's body toward Roby, causing them to collapse on the floor. It was then that Yuji spoke and asked if Wolf recognizes him. The latter dismissed him and told him to get lost. Yuji didn't like Wolf's tone of speaking toward him, and saying it to Wolf only pissed the latter off. But before he could use his poison, Yuji was able to grab his wrist. Wolf was surprised to feel Yuji's power. He couldn't move his hand at all. He couldn't get out of his grasp. But Wolf wasn't discouraged. It only pissed him off. He immediately spat his poison toward Yuji, but the latter evaded. Wolf was surprised. He couldn't even follow his speed. Before he realized it, he was already hit by an attack to his face. That one swift attack from Yuji sent Wolf flying across the room. But Wolf didn't get knocked out and immediately regained his footing. Though, he was severely injured and wonders why Yuji is so strong. He felt like he was facing a demon in human form. Wolf trembled as Yuji walked toward him, but he didn't let fear stop him as he launched himself forward. Yuji effortlessly evaded Wolf's wild haymaker by stepping an inch backward. Wolf didn't have time to react. He only saw the counterattack when it was right before his face. Yuji's attack connected, suspending him in the air with a powerful back fist. Wolf gritted his teeth as he groaned in pain. He fell down to the floor with a thud. Yuji approached him and asked if he still couldn't recognize him, but Wolf continued being stubborn and spat poison toward Yuji. The latter evaded the attack, mocking him for being stubborn. Yuji stomped on the ground, and Wolf was terrified as he realized what was about to come next. Yuji suddenly unleashed a powerful crimson burst of energy, shattering the ground. Wolf managed to evade, and prepared his fist for a counterattack. He swung his fists, unleashing several poison projectiles. Yuji was surprised. He had no time to react from the attack. The poison projectiles hit him in the face, causing him to reel backwards. Wolf burst out laughing, thinking he finally poisoned him. But when Yuji glared at him with the poison projectiles in his mouth, Wolf was utterly surprised. He couldn't react when Yuji suddenly extended his hand to grab his face. He then wiped the floor clean using Wolf's body. Afterward, Wolf was seen exhausted and injured. Rose and Roby couldn't believe what they were seeing. Yuji asked if he wanted more, to which Wolf politely refused. Yuji demanded he hand out the antidote to cure Rose, and Wolf complied. He picked out the antidote hidden in his custom-made teeth. Deep inside, he was still baffled that Yuji knew he poisoned Rose. Suddenly, Zhang and his men entered the bar. Zhang removed his eyeglasses, walking in with his bandaged arm. Yuji was surprised and wondered what that guy's business was in that place. Wolf was equally surprised to see his big brother in that place. He hurriedly badmouthed Yuji to Zhang, saying he does not take him seriously. Zhang looked stern as Wolf continued yapping, but his stern look was replaced by a polite reverence upon recognizing Yuji. He bowed down and greeted him, while Yuji checked on his arm. Seeing how polite Zhang is to Yuji, he finally realized he messed up with the wrong person. Zhang revealed that he was specifically looking for Yuji. The latter smiled, asking if it was because something happened to Ben. Zhang confirmed and said their master's condition is terrible. He added that Ben's condition is getting worse recently. But before he could say more, Yuji accurately recited his symptoms like black spots and weakness. He knew that it was the symptoms that occur when you get bit by a demonic mosquito. Zhang confirmed and asked if he could cure Ben. Yuji said he had no choice because Yumi helped him. He told them to go back for now and look for him after 3 days. Zhang bowed and politely thanked him. He then turned to Wolf and ordered him to follow Yuji from now on. Realizing that he offended a big shot whom his brother Zhang even respected, he immediately knelt to the ground and acknowledged his authority. Yuji said Wolf should kneel in front of Roby instead. Meanwhile, Roby was just regaining his sober self. He was then confused when Wolf suddenly begged for his forgiveness. Roby told him not to touch him, but Wolf insisted on treating him as his boss. Meanwhile, Yuji was still baffled by the demonic mosquito. He walked outside the bar, while Roby and Wolf continued bickering. He then stopped as soon as he noticed a woman. He was surprised to see that it was none other than Lin. He also noticed that Lin was walking in an unstable manner. He squinted his eyes, suspicion stirring within him. Lin continued walking on the sidewalk unsteadily. Suddenly, a vehicle pulled over in front of her. A man suddenly got out of the van and grabbed her hands. She tried to escape as they pulled her inside the vehicle. Eventually, they managed to overpower her and took her in. They immediately closed the door and drove away. Seeing that Lin was kidnapped by these men, he turned into a crimson energy as he decided to follow them. The vehicle pulled over at Yuji's old house. The man came out of the vehicle with Lin on his shoulder, whining at Yuji's old and remote place. They then broke the door and entered the house. They walked inside and headed to the room. The man grinned like a villain, excited to satisfy his greed. He threw the unconscious Lin onto the bed. Looking at her face, they couldn't help but admire her beauty. The three of them agreed to take turns on satisfying themselves, but before they could do anything, Yuji told them they could all die together. The man was surprised to hear his voice. He then grinned after recognizing that it was none other than the good-for-nothing Yuji. They threatened to use him as a scapegoat for their evil plan, but Yuji just smiled, saying their plan is quite insidious. The man ordered his lackeys to cripple Yuji. The fat man launched at him with a punch, to which Yuji evaded. He began sweating beads as he felt his life force getting taken away from him. Before he realized it, Yuji's crimson energy was now burning through his body. He could only desperately call to his big brother as he slowly died. The remaining goods were surprised, wondering what it was. Yuji smiled as he let go of the fat man, who had turned into a stone. He fell to the ground, while the remaining men worriedly called out to him. Yuji demanded to know who ordered them to do this. The men begged for his forgiveness and revealed it was Hoku. Hearing the information he wanted, Yuji grinned as he planned to kill them. Dark crimson energy emanated from his body and surged forward, piercing through the bodies of the remaining men. Yuji turned around, leaving all of them petrified into stone. He then averted his gaze to the floor upon noticing something in there. It was a mysterious jade emitting a strange chi. Yuji sat down in front of the brothers, who had turned into a stone. He then grabbed the jade that had been emitting chi. He clenched his fist, wondering why it was there. The jade turned into pieces. He was so shocked to find out that it was a celestial demonic stone. His eyes turned red in excitement, knowing that the stone would help him recover faster. He turned to leave, planning to use it in the forest behind his home. Walking through the forest, he arrived in front of the glowing tree. The stone he found can convert the energy from heaven and earth, and the old tree is the perfect spot. He took out the stone, then gripped it tightly on his fist as it glowed in green. He then punched the tree with all his might, causing it to crack. The celestial stone was now carved inside the tree. With the process being done, he expected to harvest some spirit trees. The old tree glows brightly and emitted a green wave on the ground. Some plants started sprouting and growing at a rapid speed. Yuji's body emitted a dark aura, being active because he had felt refreshed after a long time. Lin suddenly arrived at the place. Yuji cursed at the back of his mind for forgetting about her. Lin's face was red, looking at him from a distance. She then started walking towards him. She threw herself at him and asked why he had a gut to dump her. The two of them fell on the ground, with Yuji being confused. He was shocked because she started pulling his clothes and refrained from letting him go. His face turned red, having no choice but to save her. He then grabbed her arms, turning her on the ground. He gritted his teeth because of how troublesome she was, deciding to disperse her energy first. He started pointing at her forehead, making her scream while emitting a purple energy. She shut her eyes as she grasped for breath. He managed to disperse only a little, and there's still a lot remaining. He was thinking of doing something for the remaining energy when she reached for him. She then pulled him closer for an embrace, leaving him with no other choice. They spent the night under the glowing old tree. Morning came and Lin woke up with a headache. She instantly sat down, because she wasn't able to recognize the place. She then screamed, waking Yuji up. She shouted at Yuji, finding out that it was him again, but the latter stopped her. She then recalled being kidnapped and asking for help. She turned her head and asked if she could borrow some of his clothes. Yuji sat down, saying that she clearly took advantage of him. He got up, prompting her to ask, which he answered that he would get some clothes. He then started walking away, leaving her admiring the place. She shut her eyes, feeling the peacefulness around. But then, Yuji threw some clothes at her. She shouted at him in annoyance, but he just brushed it off. She asked him to turn around, and started wearing the clothes while asking about their location. She finally put it on and stood up, asking him to drive her home. Yuji told her that there is a crappy van waiting outside. He smiled at her widely and added that he doesn't have a driver's license. Still, at Yuji's home, Lin sarcastically asked if the car drove itself. Yuji leaned on the hood, asking her to drive him to the city too. Lin dismissed it and opened the car's door. She then invited him as she sat on the driver's seat, which prompted Yuji to thank her. She threw some sharp gazes at him while cursing at the back of her mind. She then started the engine, and the car drove really fast. She wonders why he wasn't afraid even though she was driving so fast. Something suddenly caught Yuji's eyes, that he can't drive. Their van passed through the black car, prompting the black car to stop. Lin scolded him because they almost met with an accident. Both their cars were stuck in the middle of the road. Yuji's eyes glowed red as he smirked, and the car's door suddenly opened. Lin's eyes suddenly widened, wondering who was behind the car. Yuji warned him to stay inside the car because it wasn't her business. He smirked, informing her that he will collect debts and do some questioning. The guy suddenly stepped out of the car. It was Kodo with bandages on his face. He then smirked widely and ripped off the bandages while sarcastically thanking Yuji for the scars on his face. As soon as Yuji got out, he mocked Koto for leaving the hospital too early even though he looked like that. He even asked for him to go back and let his brain be examined by the doctors. The two of them stood face to face. Koto clenched his teeth while emitting a purple aura. He suddenly rushed forward, leaving his car behind. A purple trail was left behind when he passed through Yuji. The latter's eyes suddenly widened in utter shock. He wondered why Koto became stronger even after being hospitalized. Koto grabbed the tree's body, leaving a mark on it. He turned to him and arrogantly apologized, saying that he wasn't using it yet. He suddenly disappeared from his position, leaving a strong force behind. Yuji readied himself for a fight. He managed to block Koto's attack in an instant. He waved his demon hands and took a step back for a distance. A dark energy suddenly formed on Yuji's back. His eyes became dark while taunting Koto for taking a step back. Their fists collided, causing the two to emit a powerful purple and dark red energy. They let out a scream while their energy fought with each other. Koto grinned widely, announcing that he will be using the killer copper now. A black mask suddenly appeared on his face while warning Yuji of his death. The latter's eyes widened as he recognized the Devil's Shura mask, wondering where he got it from. Koto started charging towards him. His eyes suddenly widened as it turned red. A purple beam suddenly surged towards Yuji. He was sent backwards, but despite that, he warned Koto for what he had done. Kodo suddenly transformed while Yuji tried to tell him what the mask really was. But he didn't listen as he succumbed to the thought of killing him. Yuji gritted his teeth, giving him an option to spare his life by telling him where the mask came from. But Kodo disappeared in front of him, leaving only a trail of purple energy. Yuji's eyes widened in surprise. He looked up, seeing his opponent above glowing in purple. Kodo descended downward and attacked Yuji, to which he blocked instantly. The ground started breaking because of the force, while Yuji was struggling because Kodo's strength doubled by wearing the mask. The two of them continued clashing. Recognizing that his situation is not good, Kodo descended with a powerful strike that Yuji barely evaded. He stepped backward, thinking he needed to keep his distance. But Kodo was so fast he was able to catch up to him instantly. His eyes were burning with rage as he chased Yuji. The latter struggled to block the incoming barrage of attacks. One fist from Kodo finally connected to his stomach, inflicting an internal injury to Yuji. The punch was so powerful he was sent flying backwards. He slammed to the ground, causing it to shatter from Kodo's powerful energy. The latter couldn't help but laugh with his newfound power. But his celebration was cut short when he noticed something behind the smoke. He was then surprised when he heard Yuji's ominous voice. He abruptly turned around to see what was going on. There he saw Yuji, looking down on him as he activated his crimson aura. His eyes mirrored his demon form as he explained the features of the mask. He said it was a restraining artifact for the lowest cannon fodders within the demonic star. But Kodo didn't hear any of his words and continued threatening him. That's why he was so surprised when he saw Yuji's attack instantly closing in on him. It was a powerful demon aura-imbued kick that sent him backward. Kodo slammed to the ground, head first. Yuji then said he accidentally went a little too hard there. This greatly enraged Kodo, veins popping out of his mask. He grabbed a massive boulder, then tore it apart to remove Yuji's footing. He slammed the boulder to the ground, along with Yuji underneath. The boulder began cracking as a crimson demonic aura seeped. Yuji was unfazed and challenged him to see who would die in this match. Their fists collided, releasing a powerful shockwave from the clash of their energies. When Yuji's demonic aura began to overpower him, Kodo was greatly surprised. Yuji landed on the ground while Kodo suffered agonizing pain as the demonic aura burned his arms. Enraged, Kodo pushed his transformation further and threatened Yuji. But the latter flat out said that he doesn't have the strength to beat him. Kodo grabbed his mask as he continued the morph. His body had grown disgustingly huge as he charged at Yuji. There was not a trace of humanity in Kodo's eyes anymore. Seeing that he let himself be corrupted by the mask, Yuji knows he's beyond saving. He promised to make it quick for Kodo and unleashed his attack. His sharp demonic aura tore through Kodo's massive body, shattering the mask bound to his face and soul. Kodo fell to the ground, defeated and lifeless. Yuji stood triumphantly over his dead body. He placed his hands on his head, wondering where he got the mask. He extracted Kodo's soul using his skill. He began consuming his soul to increase his energy. Kodo's soul tried to retaliate, attempting to escape from his grasp, but Yuji didn't let him go and continued to feed on him. Suddenly, he saw visions of a galaxy in his mind. He also saw an ominous silhouette staring right through him. Yuji was surprised to learn that the young master of the Gong family is the one behind it. Meanwhile, the dust and smoke began to settle. Lin came out of the car to check, wondering if it's over now. Yuji came out from the chaos while wiping his pants. Lin asked if he was okay because of how terrifying the fight was. She asked if Kodo was dead, which he deserved because he tried to kill them. Yuji commended her calmness and asked where he could get some information. Lin thought about it and remembered their school because it has the largest library. Later, the two of them arrived at the school gate. Lin asked about the van, but Yuji casually gave it to her because he doesn't have a license. She suddenly had the courage to ask who he was and the power he possessed. Yuji halted and turned his gaze at her in confusion, but Lin dismissed it and told him to go. Yuji bid his goodbye and reminded her to call him if she was caught in trouble, while Lin stared at him in confusion. She then checked her phone for his number. She looked down, wondering who he really was. While walking, Yuji recalled his encounter with the demonic aura that came from his planet. He was now determined to do some research to uncover the state of this world. A girl with pink hair chuckled behind the tree, sneaking behind. Later, Yuji laid back because everything that was recorded in the book seems normal. A girl suddenly covered his eyes, asking him to guess who she was. Yuji instantly turned at her while she let out a chuckle. His eyes suddenly widened upon seeing her. He seemed to recognize her from Hera while she was looking for him. Yuji turned the thought away because it was Annie, his childhood friend. Annie leaned towards him, asking if he was okay. Yuji dismissed it and said that he was fine, prompting her to cheerfully invite him to her party. Yuji flicked her forehead, saying that he will join. Annie got excited and cheered happily in front of him. Later, they arrived at a big hotel. Yuji looked around and found that it was very fancy. While suspecting how wealthy her friend was, his eyes narrowed and decided to investigate the things further. An assistant suddenly asked if they were the celebrant, giving them the direction of the party while asking them to follow. Annie worries that the place seemed to be expensive, but Yuji dismisses it. At the back of his mind, he was thinking that they were after him. The two of them arrived at the party hall, prompting her friend to get up. Her best friend named Xiao hugged her upon arriving. She then suddenly asked the man beside Annie which she introduced to her. But Yuji seemed to not care about it and just looked away. Annie worries that they spent a lot on the surprise party, but Xiao told her that it was nothing. She added that the young master Hobek will pay for it all. The latter welcomed Annie and asked her for a drink. Annie declined because she's not good with it, but he asked for a little drink. Yuji suddenly snatched the wine from his hand, drinking it directly in her place. His gaze landed on Hobek, asking him for a man-to-man talk. Hobek smiled arrogantly, recognizing Yuji. The two of them went outside. Yuji suddenly questioned their plan about Annie upon knowing that there were sleeping pills on it, but Hobek smirked, saying that he should know whom he offended while threatening him. Yuji revealed that the pill is nothing, returning the warning he was imposing earlier. Hobek arrogantly delivered the message of Yuto, telling him to wait. He then looked down on him, but a black shadow gnawed on his ear. It then landed on the ground, looking at him with the ear on its mouth. Hobek knelt on the ground while Yuji asked him to deliver his message to Yuto. He leaned closer at Hobek, asking if he heard him clearly while threatening him. Hobek gritted his teeth in fear while clutching his ear. Yuji grabbed his head, ordering him to pay for everything, to which he instantly agreed. Entering the hall, he asked Hobek to take him to Yuto so that he could return the favor. Hobek revealed that the location is unidentified because Yuto often contacts him for the location. Yuji asked where they met, to which he revealed the abandoned steel factory. His eyes suddenly glowed red and asked him to go there. Later, Annie and her friends bid their goodbyes with one another. Yuji also bid her goodbye while thinking of the way her family took care of him. He turned to Hobek, asking him to bring him to the factory, which made him turn into a stone as he agreed. Yuji smiled for having his power, telling him that he should have learned his lesson. Opening the car door, Hobek was warning him in the back of his mind. Yuji's phone suddenly lit up for a call. The caller seemed to be panicking while telling him that Roby had gone missing. He instantly got enraged upon hearing it. Later, he and Hobek had arrived at the abandoned factory. He asked if Hobek is coming with him, but the latter answered that he wouldn't dare. Yuji smirked while holding Hobek's phone and asking if he lost something. The latter panicked, asking how he got it while Yuji was answering Yuto's call. He directly said that he knew about Roby's kidnapping and asked to meet up. Yuto declined his invitation because he was sure that he wouldn't be alive until tomorrow. He then ended the call with a smirk on his lips. Yuji was seriously listening to him until he hung up, which instantly enraged him and caused him to crush the phone. He turned to Hobek with glaring eyes, asking if it was all because of Yuto's doing, to which Hobek instantly affirmed while telling him how powerful the Gong family was. Yuji sarcastically thanked him for the warning and told him not to worry. A purple energy passed through Hobek, causing his confusion. Him and his car suddenly ignited and caused a huge explosion. Meanwhile, Roby was tied to the pillar. Waku whipped him for being friends with Yuji. Roby managed to brag about Yuji, saying that he is signing for death. Waku grinned, saying that Yuji will pay for the humiliation he received from the other day. He suddenly calls for someone, asking if Yuji has a chance to live. He introduced him as Snake, while the latter greeted Roby. The latter sensed a bad aura towards him. Snake smirked, knowing that Yuji had arrived. The latter kicked the door without hesitation. He found out that Yuto wasn't there, but they should probably know where he was. Waku affirmed what his brother had said while Snake suddenly disappeared. Roby was shocked upon his disappearance. Snake suddenly showed up above Yuji to launch an attack. Yuji looked up as the snake began traversing the direction. He instantly dodged the attack by leaping on the side. He arrogantly called him a worm, saying that Yuto is underestimating him. Snake smirked with a green aura around him, threatening to swallow him whole. His snake suddenly burst on the ground and attacked Yuji while the latter realized that he is a cultivator. Snake curiously asked what the cultivator meant. Yuji's cat suddenly lunged at the snake's body and bit it. He smirked at him, asking if he only brought one snake with him. Snake cursed at him in rage, finding out that he had some technique too. Dark energy suddenly appeared and surged towards Snake's direction. The latter did not move and waited for it. He then raised his hand as it glowed in green. Both his hands suddenly turned into king cobras while swearing at Yuji. Yuji found it boring and asked him to show something else while calling out his spirit cat. His cat finally achieved its own freedom and formed into a spirit beast, having no problem with a friend. Snake stayed arrogant, daring to know whose beast is the strongest. He instantly charged his king cobras towards the cat, but the latter leapt upward to evade. It then bites the cobra's body midair. Snake smirks at him and tells him that he will take his life. But Yuji mocked him for not being able to move while controlling a beast. Snake was suddenly taken aback because Yuji does not need to control his beast. The latter excitedly charged towards him, telling him how trash he was. The attack landed on the ground as Snake managed to dodge. He then gritted his teeth because of losing control over his beast. Yuji once again leapt upward to attack, mocking how low his level was. Snake once again dodged the attack while asking which family he belonged to. Yuji turned into a half-demon and said that he came from hell, which prompted Snake to answer by saying that he would send him back there. A large green snake appeared behind him as he threatened him to die. He raised his hand and the snake began surging towards his opponent. Yuji stood confidently as if it was nothing to him. He then raised his hand and returned back Snake's own words. He slashed the snake into pieces with one swift move of his hand. It then hissed at him while falling onto the ground. Snake's arms began falling because of the injury. He sneered and gritted his teeth in frustration, while Yuji mocked him for running out of cards to play. Snake seemed to lose his balance. He then winced in pain for the bruises he received. He had no choice but to call back his two cobras. The latter began surging towards him. The cobras started biting on his hands. The two of them turned red while Snake revealed that it was his trump card. 3 scarlet pythons appeared on his back as he stood firmly. The scarlet python started growling as it looked above, while Yuji called his spirit cat to return. The python began charging towards him, but Yuji did not wave and stood still. He opened his eyes and seemingly turned into his demon form. The python's attack landed, causing the ground to break. Waku laughed and mocked him for offending the Gong family. The scarlet python suddenly froze after the attack. Its body began forming a lump. A giant baby suddenly burst through its body, causing it to growl in pain. The demonic baby slowly opened its eyes. It then let out a loud cry. It started eating the scarlet python while Yuji walked in front. Snake called for his scarlet python while being afraid of Yuji. The latter loomed before him while he asked who he was. Waku started running at the back. Yuji got mad and warned him not to mess with him. The demonic aura started chasing after him, while Yuji once again introduced himself as the demon from hell. He grabbed Snake's arm, saying that he is not allowed to die yet. He then forcefully tore it off, causing him to scream in so much pain. He wiped his face, welcoming his newly found toy to hell. Snake begged for his mercy, swearing to do anything if he spared him. He shivered in fear as he continued begging for him. Yuji smirked at him, realizing that he had something to do for him. Snake asked Yuji to tell him, swearing to do it until he can. Yuji laughed diabolically, saying that he would want him to be a bomb, which caused Snake to look at him in horror. Yuji's finger pointed at his forehead while he remained confused. Snake shouted in pain as the red energy swirled around him. He then fell on the ground, wincing in pain. His body slowly curled while being engulfed with red energy. He then turned into a small circle as the process came to its end. Yuji praised himself for creating a bomb from human flesh. He smirked widely, holding the gift he would like to send. Robi suddenly shouted at him, telling him not to let Waku go away. With a flick of his hand, Yuji managed to cut Robi's rope while telling him to rest. Being frozen in his position, Waku asked what he was trying to do. Yuji grabbed his face, saying beside him and apologized for causing trouble, but Robi believed in him. He then healed his bruises and invited him to go home. Robi asked if he would not help him get up, but Yuji still walked. He grabbed his brother's shoulders, asking about Snake's whereabouts. Waku remained silent with dark energy around him. He slowly tilted his head with lumps on it while still whispering the same. Yudo's eyes widened in shock, causing him to react quickly. He kicked him away, surprised by what his brother brought with him. Waku managed to tell him that it was a return gift while flying away. Yudo sneered as he gritted his teeth. He started running away while Waku was emitting a golden lightning. He started running through the window, swearing that he wouldn't let Yuji off for what he had done. He jumped out the glass window, and a massive explosion engulfed the whole building. At the Honghai Tower, Yuji was confused as to why Rini would invite him to eat, but he set it aside as he could gather information about the Gong family, why they were staring at him. Rini laughed innocently because she wanted to treat him after killing the demonic mosquito. Yuji turned his gaze at Kane, asking what she was doing with them. The latter told him that she was a doctor, adding that the demonic mosquito incident hasn't leaked out yet. Yuji shut his eyes as he smirked, giving no information to her. Kane became serious, deciding to suspect him for the sudden appearance of the mosquito. Yuji opened his eyes and stared at her. He then thanked them for the lunch and bid his goodbye. Rini tried to stop him as he turned his back at them. They then followed him outside while asking him to stop. All of a sudden, they were surprised to see multiple uniformed men waiting for Yuji. A bald man named Shoji stepped forward, looking at him. Yuji wondered who this person was. the man politely begged him to save his father, Ben. Kane was surprised to see him begging to a guy with no background, but Shoji told him to not speak nonsense as Yuji is their distinguished guest. The latter smiled and urged them to go, to which Shoji led the way. Kane followed and called out to Yuji. She asked if she could see the treatment process. Yuji told her to do what she wants as long as Shoji approves. Meanwhile, a spy turned out to be watching his movements and reporting to Yuto. The latter told him to follow Yuji and wait for him to come out from there. He stared at a picture of Yuji on his table, enraged that he was humiliated. He listened to the television broadcast of the explosion incident at his building. He gritted his teeth, vowing to make sure he chooses how painful Yuji would die. At the Bai family's residence, Yuji and the girls finally arrived. Kane reminded him that she will never allow Yuji to use Ben as his experiment. Yuji responded with confidence, saying he will definitely cure him. Inside Ben's room, Shoji thanked Yuji for his efforts. Yuji wasted no time and immediately summoned his spirit beast. The spirit cat emerged and rested on his shoulder. Shoji was surprised and wondered what this thing was, to which Yuji assured them that it won't harm them, as it is the key to save Ben. Yuji then asked for a bowl, surprising Shoji. He immediately ordered his butlers to get a bowl, to which they complied. Shortly, they were able to prepare the bowl Yuji needed. The spirit cat sniffed the bowl, looking down on it. Yuji held the spirit cat's paws and extracted its blood. Meanwhile, Rini was trying her best to restrain Kane from touching the cat. Yuji handed the bowl to Shoji, telling him to let Ben drink it. Shoji was surprised, skeptical, that this monster's blood is the cure, but Yuji confidently assured them that it's effective. He added that they should be careful of the Gong family's schemes. Surprising Shoji, the room's atmosphere fell into the trap of the Gong family. Yuji said he's still figuring it out, and that the demonic mosquito is not from this world. Hearing this, Kane wondered what kind of being he really is. But Yuji told them to not delve too deeply, and he'll personally get to the bottom of it. Afterward, Yumi thanked him for saving her grandfather. Yuji said it was no problem, but pointed out that the cars outside weren't from the Bai family. Seeing several cars outside the gate, Yuji figured out it was the Gong family, and since he saved Ben, Yuji asked if there won't be a problem if he borrowed a car. Ben immediately ordered his butler to give one of their fast cars to him. Yumi turned to Yuji and asked him to follow her. Outside the Bai family's mansion, the Gong family's subordinates were still waiting. Then, a sleek white car came out of the gate. The Gong family's subordinates noticed him and were alerted. They intruded the residence, earning the retaliation of the Bai family butlers. One of the Gong family subordinates told them it was their family's business. But the Bai family retaliated since they're causing a ruckus in their house. It was then that a massive man told them to move. It was Shin, explaining to them that they were trying to find Yuji. The Bai family's subordinate was intimidated by his towering stature. Shin turned to the car and asked Yuji if he would come out himself or get dragged like a dog. Yuji was unfazed and implied that Shin was immensely lacking to deal with him alone. Shin didn't like his words and said that he will have to die today. Yuji taunted him, telling Shin to catch up to him first. He hit the accelerator and immediately took off, leaving a trail of smoke as he left everyone in the dust. Shin gritted his teeth and ordered his men to get him. Yuji continued driving off until sunset. He drove to the same place near his old house. He looked at his shaking hands, thinking he would have lost if he went against him. But now that he's lost them back there, he has the time to change the formation. He sat down, leaning on the tree trunk, and began meditating. He unleashed his demonic energy and activated his demonic breaking form. This is the beginning of his surprise to his pursuers. The subordinates of the Gong family arrived and surrounded his car. They immediately went into the forest to search for him. Shin reminded everyone to look thoroughly since he could be hiding anywhere. They continued walking through, but they found no traces of him. Suddenly, Shin was surprised to hear one of his men screaming. When they checked, the man had already lost his head. He urgently ordered everyone to gather together and not give him a chance to strike back. As they panicked, Yuji took the time to move around them. He smirked while staring at them, moving around while carrying a head. He then threw the head on the ground and asked if they were looking for it. He circled around them in his crimson energy form, welcoming them to his playground. All of a sudden, his men were taken by the crimson energy. Shin gritted his teeth, vowing to kill Yuji no matter what. Yuji decided to show up in front of him after hearing this. He smirked and challenged Shin to give it a try. Shin then added that he forgot to answer him last time. He revealed that Yuto didn't send him alone and summoned a monster named Kufu. But Yuji was unfazed and kept his composure. Yuji stood there, while Kufu tried to sneak behind him. However, Yuji already noticed his presence and said it won't work. He then launched an attack that went straight through Kufu's cheeks. Yuji grabbed his face and slammed him forcefully down to the ground. He then averted his gaze toward Shin, who was currently activating his attack. Yuji was caught off guard as the attack connected to his stomach. He was sent reeling backwards, gritting his teeth as he endured the pain. A silhouette from the trees ordered Khufu to get up, to which the latter complied and roared as he stood up. He wildly charged forward toward Yuji. The latter gritted his teeth as Khufu sneaked behind him. He charged his fist with crimson energy and prepared to attack. He propelled himself toward Khufu, only to be surprised that his attack was cancelled by another attack. It was from Shin. Standing as he aimed his energy at Yuji, he smirked, saying Yuji was still too naive. Khufu took this opportunity to wrap himself around Yuji's body. Yuji is now restrained, and Khufu was ready to kill him. He opened his jaws to bite on his shoulder. His fangs sunk deep into Yuji's skin as he sucked his life force. Yuji gritted his teeth, thinking he should have taken him down earlier. Shin reminded Khufu to be careful since Yuji might do little tricks again. He then fired a powerful projectile from his hands. The green projectile beam tore through Yuji's chest, inflicting internal injuries on him. The beam was so powerful it continued piercing through the air across the forest. As Yuji fell down on the ground, Khufu lashed out at Shin for immediately ending things while he's still enjoying. Seeing that he had a hole in his chest, they thought Yuji was dead. It was a perfect chance for Khufu to switch bodies and make Yuji his new puppet, but the meticulous Shin still felt uneasy. He once again activated his powers, to which Khufu wondered what he's going to do. He aimed his attack at Yuji, saying he'll be more at ease when he's destroyed completely. He yelled, unleashing a powerful green beam from his hands. The beam streaked through the air and approached Yuji. Upon activation, Shin's power tore a massive pit on the ground as the smoke and dust rose. Now, they're sure that Yuji is now dead, and let their guard down. Yuji took this chance to sneak on them and targeted Khufu while he was speaking. He didn't have the chance to react. One of his arms was immediately torn apart. Shin worriedly called out to Khufu, while Yuji teleported behind. He smirked at them confidently, while Shin expressed disbelief as he asked how he managed to survive his attack. But for Yuji, having a hole in his chest is no big deal. He began transforming, revealing that he finally figured out Shin's ability. He suddenly vanished from their sight, leaving both Shin and Khufu surprised. Shin particularly couldn't believe that he's still alive despite having a hole in his heart. Suddenly, a sharp energy streaked through and grazed his shoulder, but what shocked him more was that he never realized Yuji was already behind him. The latter opened his palms to summon his weapon. He then slashed through Shin's head with his demonic hunting scythe. Shin gritted his teeth as the demonic energy sunk through his shoulder. With a cold look, Yuji told him he will now end him. Yuji stood with his demonic hunting scythe. Meanwhile, Khufu rushed to check on the injured Shin. He wondered what kind of monster Yuji really was. The latter taunted them, rubbing their differences in power levels. Both Shin and Khufu were surprised when they were suddenly engulfed in darkness. They looked up and figured out that it covered the sky as well. They panicked, thinking they couldn't see anything. Yuji then gave them a chance to survive and said he'll only let one live. Shin didn't believe that Yuji would really let one go back. While Khufu agreed with his words, Shin bent over and exerted his remaining power to retaliate. He fired in all directions in an attempt to force Yuji to come out. He didn't have the time to react when he found the blade of Yuji's scythe kissing his neck. Yuji told him it was useless since he's the darkness itself. He swung his scythe and cut off another arm from Khufu. In response, Shin angrily unleashed his green beam toward Yuji. The latter gripped his scythe hard, then charged at them with a smirk. His demonic energy tore through Shin's green beam. He gradually began to overwhelm Shin with his darkness. The latter was then surprised as he looked up, seeing that his power was dispersed. Yuji then asked if they really decided that both of them would die. Now that the situation is dire, the real Khufu finally appeared. Shin was surprised and asked why he showed up, to which Khufu said he's choosing for one to live. Khufu knew that Yuji wouldn't let one of them live, but he still chose to betray Shin and stabbed him with his hands. Shin suffered internal injury as Khufu began turning him into a ghoul. Yuji wondered why Khufu would do such a thing if he knew Yuji won't let him go. Khufu smirked, saying dead bodies without a brain are so much easier to control. He pulled his hands out of Shin's head, confident in his ghoul's potential. Shin began transforming upon Khufu's ability activation. He charged like a mindless puppet and attacked Yuji, but Yuji was unbothered and responded with a smirk. In one swing of his scythe, he managed to tear Shin's body in half. Khufu was surprised and lost all hopes of surviving. Yuji once again grabbed his scythe. Before Khufu could react, Yuji already slashed off his head. He coldly said that they were just moth fires. He stood triumphantly over their dead bodies. He turned around, saying he didn't expect to find something peculiar yet weak. He told his spirit cat to stop picking since they don't look so great. The spirit cat sat before one body and devoured it. Now that the battle is finished, Yuji disperses his demonic formation. He approached the tree where he meditated earlier. He imbued his fingertips with his demonic energy, then clawed through the surface of the tree. He then clenched his fist, and the tree from earlier lost all its vitality. He admitted having to use a lot of energy around the place because of the enemy's strength. He smirked, knowing he still needs to be careful. Suddenly, a beast covered in bluish flame approached and caught his attention. He was delighted to see that the spirit cat had already grown so strong. He commended his spirit blood beast for growing up really fast. He wondered if he could devour everything of the Gong family so he could go stronger. He kicked off the ground, then propelled himself toward the night sky. The spirit blood beast went into the trail of energy that was left from his takeoff. He looked forward, vowing to go after the Gong family next time. Shortly after, a person in a hazmat suit was wandering around the place. They couldn't believe that 2 grade E experts really just vanished like that. She took her mask off and sighed. It was Kane, and she turned out to be a member of the secret Wanghae of the Leaf Group. She continued thinking about the urgency of uncovering Yuji's identity, but the sight she stumbled upon when she reached the battlefield surprised her. All the trees in that place have lost their vitality. At the sub-department of the clan, the man named Cruz stood still as Yuto threw tantrums for his failed plan. He was so enraged that the E-grade experts he hired were defeated by Yuji. He then furiously walked away, planning to make the clan move. But Cruz reminded him that he has no authority of command in the clans. Yuto abruptly turned around upon hearing his words. However, he couldn't bear to get mad at him. His mood darkened as he told him that he'll need to try harder next time. Cruz assured him that he was there to help solve the problem, though it would be difficult to find other experts. But Yuto insisted on arranging another expert from the clan. He won't sleep peacefully if Yuji won't bow and beg for his life in front of him. Cruz looked down, saying there are no available grade E experts at the moment. He turned to the window and suggested outsourcing a grade D expert instead. At the Bai family's mansion, Yuji found himself walking through the gates of the residence. He saw Yumi on the balcony and thought she was there to welcome him. He then asked if he could stay for a bit since his house was gone. Yumi didn't seem to like his proposal since he already took their expensive car. Yuji retorted, saying he wasn't really interested in cars. Hearing this, Yumi was fuming mad as she went down the balcony. She rushed down below and angrily cussed at Yuji. Seeing that she was about to hit him, Yuji reminded her that he saved Ben. Yumi couldn't help but stop and hear what he wanted. Yuji reiterated that he just wanted a place to stay since his house is gone. Yumi was confused. She thought Yuji was a disciple of the Ye family. Yuji responded with a smile. He then explained that he was never really included as the heir. Yumi took pity on him and invited him to come in. In response, Yuji pointed something on her body. She was so flustered and embarrassed. She angrily chased him out of their residence. Night quickly came at the Bai family residence, but Yuji still couldn't rest since Kane came to visit him. She angrily confronted him, asking if he's really a part of the Ye family. Yuji sighed, saying she was crossing the line. After all, it was late in the night, and she was interrupting his sleep. Kane said their organization only didn't want to be enemies with him, to which he only sighed. However, they wanted to check if Yuji was a threat or not. Yuji said it was fine, and asked Kane to answer a few of his questions. Kane agreed and asked what he wanted to know. Remembering his past encounters in this world, he asked what this place really is. Kane explained that it was because of the world's instability and multiple cracks in time. She was then surprised to learn that she does not belong in this place. He only responded with a smile. That smile turned ominous as he activated his demon form, revealing he's the king of hell. Inside the abandoned building, Yuto was walking inside between the ruins. He then kicked the door, finding out that the safe was still intact. Filled with rage, he knelt down while vowing to watch Yuji die in his hands. He grabbed a jar with a glowing heart inside when someone spoke behind him. His eyes widened in shock and couldn't move his head. The girl named Sheena smirked. She commended him for boldly coming inside the building alone. Yuto's eyes glowed red as he emitted a red energy. Sheena suddenly grasped the demonic mosquito with her, belittling Yuto for being dumb. As she turned her back, Yuto followed and charged an attack. Sheena turned her head with a smirk while daring him. She then leaped upward to evade his attack, while the latter seemed to be triggered. She commended how powerful the Leng family was, but Yuto was just trash. He gritted his teeth and swore to rip her mouth once he caught her. Sheena landed on the ground while mocking him. She then asked why he was causing trouble for everyone. Yuto leaped upward with a glowing hand, eager to kill her for the raise. Sheena counterattacked, telling him that he does not have the skills. She even added that he was named Gong and not Leng because of how weak he was. Yuto told her to shut up as he threw a punch. Sheena's mouth parted as she looked at his attack. She once again dodged it, remembering that Yuto's rank is almost a D. She then landed on the ground unscathed. She told him that they should stop playing around and she will kill him next time. Yuto clenched his teeth, wanting to continue the fight between them. The ceiling started cracking. She noticed it, and instantly evaded the red needles that were falling. Sheena smiled, finding out what Yuto's ability was. The latter revealed that he really wasn't alone, but she seemed to not care about it, and jumped off the building. Yuto's eyes widened in utter shock. She tried to chase after her, but she was already falling. A beam of light suddenly appeared while Yuto swore to kill her one day. Going back to the Bai's mansion, Yuji reunited with his beloved scythe once again. He smirked while feeling that he was in his best. A sudden voice echoed, getting his attention in an instant. He made his scythe vanish while being alert. Sheena suddenly showed up asking who he was, which made confused. She fixed herself as she chuckled. She smiled, admitting that she badly wanted to see him. Yuji smirked, asking about her second reason. Sheena pouted, asking why he was in a hurry. She then handed him the demonic mosquito and told him that he is the only one who can handle it. Yuji's eyes narrowed, saying that he was very familiar with it. He then held a phone, receiving a huge mission and asking him not to come back until he finishes it. Yuji and Sheena sat on the balcony. He asked where she found the demonic mosquito. She told him that she stole it to Yuto and gave it as a present to her king. Yuji's eyes narrowed upon hearing it. He summoned his scythe and asked who she was. Sheena knelt down and told him that it's not the right time yet. She then jumped off the balcony and bid her goodbye to him. Yuji's brows furrowed in rage, saying that she can't leave yet, while attacking her with a scythe. Sheena tilted her head, as the scythe was about to slit her throat. She leaped upward to evade, telling him not to be in a hurry. Yuji smirked, saying that his curiosity took over. Sheena grinned upon hearing it. She then disappeared and left him behind. Yuji sneered, saying that he hates people like her who act mysterious. He raised the jar in his hand, having a sense of familiarity with it. A noise suddenly caught his attention. It was a call on his phone by Lin. They were riding Yuji's car along the bridge. Wolf was holding the demonic mosquito while asking Yuji what it was. The latter's eyes glowed red as he sneered. Something struck Wolf as he froze with his mouth parted. After that, he seemed to recognize what he was holding. Yuji's eyes furrowed, asking if he already remembered. Wolf nodded as he stared intently at the jar. He then asks what Yuji was doing there, but the latter does not have any idea either. With his brows furrowed, Yuji pointed at him and those mosquitoes. He then asked him to tell everything that he knew about it. He revealed that there was an explosion on their planet, and when he woke up he's already on Earth. Yuji looked at him in shock, repeating what he had said. A massive energy ball appeared before his eyes, and an explosion took place. Yuji arrived at the abandoned building, scolding Yuto for causing trouble again. Yuto told him that their problem started with Lin, so they should end it with her. Yuji told him that he was a narrow-minded man, but he dismissed it and swore that he would die. Yuji smirked and dismissed the Ye family but asked about the mask from their preparing for a counterattack. A dark energy charged towards Yuto, colliding with his own. Yuji arrogantly asked if Yuto needed help from his buddy, but the latter dismissed it. With a wide grin on his face, he suddenly vanished and appeared behind Yuji. He charged his glowing fist for a punch while swearing for him to die. The spike on his brass knuckles suddenly got longer. Yuji turned towards him as he tried to dodge his attack. Yuji managed to evade the spike, being surprised at Yuto for having a lot of tricks on his sleeve. But he did not wave, having his dark energy surrounding him. Yuji turned his gaze at Lin's direction, and found her with Cruz guarding behind. He was caught off guard because of it, giving Yuto the chance to attack from behind, but he still managed to evade by taking a step back. A magic circle suddenly appeared on Yuto's feet, summoned by Yuji, recalling the people who died in the building. The dead maids suddenly appeared, reminding him to have fun with them. The maids then started coming before him, causing Yuto to get mad. The maids then started attacking him, while Yuji went after Lin because Cruz gave him an uncanny feeling. Cruz's eyes suddenly shifted at him, while Lin warned him to be careful. Yuji passed through, mocking him for that, but Cruz managed to grab his chest, sending him on the ground while saying that Lin should stay in her position. Stuck on the ground, Yuji asked why he was beating others with such fine clothing. Cruz told him that his defense abilities are below their standard. Meanwhile, Yuto was struggling to fight against the dead maids. He then instructed Cruz to torture Yuji to death. Cruz didn't respond to it, instead telling him to wait for the D-rank experts. But Yuto refused. Sand suddenly showed up. It then grabbed his foot. It was Yuji's very own skill, the demonic baby. Yuto got mad and cursed the baby while forming red energies on his hand. The demonic baby's mouth was wide open, making it swallow the red energies. It then cried in pain as spikes appeared on its body. Yuto landed on the ground, wondering what the demonic baby was. The baby landed on the ground while he dared Yuji to show everything that he got. The demonic baby started melting away. The area became clear with just the two of them being left behind. They turned their backs at Lin's location but found nothing too. Meanwhile, Yuji was carrying Lin as he jumped off the building. The latter scolded him, saying that he was troublesome and not wanting to get involved with him again. Yuji sarcastically asked who was the one who got captured. Despite being frustrated, Lin still managed to thank him for saving her. Yuji made sure that Lin was safe before going back to deal with Yuto and Cruz. Lin was about to refuse, but Yuji jumped off again. She looked at him leave while considering that he saved her again. At the abandoned building, someone showed them the demonic mosquito. Yuto gritted his teeth, wondering where he got it from. Cruz looked at him, wanting to ask the same thing. Wolf asked how these low ranks knew about that thing. He held the glowing heart in his hand. He then smirked and told them that the real them was him and not the demonic mosquito. He munched the heart in front of them, which alerted the two. He smirked widely, saying that he hadn't had such a delicious meal for a long time. Wolf transformed, saying that he will play with them until Yuji comes back. Wolf leaned back, as he felt the power from eating the heart. Green energy swirls around him as he screams of satisfaction. He grinned widely, having so much fun with the power he received. Yuto shouted in rage, not being afraid of how Wolf had become. Him and Cruz started attacking Wolf. Cruz looked back in shock. Yuto was handling Wolf in front, while he followed from behind. A golden crescent formed as he attacked him. He froze in place as he watched the enemy. Cruz shouted at Yuto in horror, telling him to be careful. Wolf smirked widely, delivering a small surprise for Yuto. Cruz rushed towards him while swearing at their enemy. He then shielded him from the poison darts of Wolf. He landed on the ground, kneeling while clutching his poisoned arm. He tore his clothes, saying that his arm is no longer savable. Yuto checked and told him that the poison is hard to deal with. He then added that he should endure the pain as he raised his hand. Cruz shouted in pain as Yuto cut off his arm. He then told him that he will take care of Wolf as he goes after Yuji. Yuto handed him red energy before he left. Cruz instantly inserted it on his severed hand. It then began forming into something. A new arm made from metal was formed. Wolf instantly realized that Yuto's power is metal kinesis. Cruz leaped upward to charge an attack against Wolf. An explosion took place at the side of the building, and Yuji and Yuto finally met each other. Yuji asked if what he had done was worth his reputation. But Yuto didn't care, because he was so mad about him having the Ye surname. He summoned his red circles, turning them into small spikes. Full of so much hatred, he started attacking him. Yuji did not move as if waiting for the darts to reach him. He then surged towards him, realizing that he hated him for having the surname. Yuto's brows furrowed as he evaded. Yuji recalled that on his planet, he did not rely on anything to become the Demon King. Yuto's arms turned into metal, preparing to attack him. It became longer and larger as he launched, but Yuji still chased after his body, passing through the metal arm and charging at him. Yuto was knocked to the ground because of it. Yuji then pointed his scythe at him, mocking him for being powerless. Yuto warned not to kill him, prompting him to arrogantly ask why he shouldn't. Yuto revealed that the Deviant Alliance will not let him go if he did, adding that the Leng family will also chase after him. But Yuji dismissed his warning because he had been threatened multiple times. He raised his scythe with tremendous aura, saying that he will always be the strongest no matter what planet it was. He then decapitated Yuto's head without hesitation. Cruz's eyes widened in shock, shouting the name of his late master. He then warned Yuji that he was in big trouble. Yuto's head fell on the ground, with Wolf mocking Cruz because his master was now dead. Yuji turned to him, announcing that it had been resolved and the alliance could be his enemy or not. Cruz uttered that his young mistress will cause chaos, which caught Wolf's attention. He added that their whole city will become a battlefield. A purple aura suddenly appeared on Yuji's back. His eyes glowed red as he turned his gaze, while Cruz looked down and remained silent. A mysterious guy suddenly landed on the ground. It was Zank, telling Cruz that he needed to go now. The latter jumped off the building while Wolf tried to stop him, but Yuji told him to let them go as Zank passed through him. The latter took a quick glance at him before going away. Wolf worries that Yuji will be hunted if word spreads, but the latter did not bother, because for him, it was only a mere city and not their planet. Wolf knelt down, giving his full beliefs, while Yuji ordered him to protect the people around them. Their voices echoed as they abandoned the building. Inside the exquisite villa, top people were gathering around the hall. Cruz curiously asked Zank about the action that Leng family would take. The latter told him that they probably wouldn't make a move because the Bai family is backing Yuji. He wasn't able to finish his words because of something. A woman with an intimidating aura walks through the hall. The people wondered why she was at the party after her son got killed. Yuto's mother, named Lena, arrived, welcoming everyone at the party. Cruz gritted his teeth in fear, asking Zank of her arrival, but the latter also wonders because she even brought the elders on it. She announced that the peace had been sealed. She then raised her son's head, announcing that she will take revenge on the one who killed him. The people inside the party were surprised because of it. Lena gazed at them, swearing that Yuji will pay for the price. Meanwhile, Yuji choked on his drink. He got a hunch that someone was talking about him while Roby joked about it. Yuji dismissed it, asking about his decision because of the situation he is in. Roby still gives him a thumbs up, being loyal to their brotherhood relationship. It made Yuji smile. He then grabbed his shoulder and told him that he will take care of it. Roby asked him about his planet while saying that he could handle it even if he left. Yuji turned to him with a smirk, asking if he could help him manage his resources. Wolf suddenly entered the room, announcing that the Bai family had something to tell him. Yuji knew that the Ling family was now coming for him. Outside his house, Kane had been lurking around and looking after him while complaining about it. Yuji was confused, telling her to complain about it to her group. It enraged Kane, prompting her to throw the key at him while saying that she will be leaving. Yuji asked what was their goal, which made Kane look at him. The latter revealed that they were only looking after the source of power. She revealed that only those who can help them can be their friends. But Yuji attacked something beside him. The man in suit coughed because of his attack. Kane was too stunned to speak, looking at the scene in front. Yuji's eyes darkened, warning them that they shouldn't cross the line. At the Bai's family mansion, Ben was asking about the issues inside Kane's organization. The latter admitted that it was indeed true, but it won't affect Yumi's membership. Yumi was surprised because she could join the Leaf organization. Kane admitted that it wasn't easy to join, but Yuji gave the credit to Yumi, so she was eligible. The latter felt sick upon hearing Yuji's name, to which Kane felt the same way. Yumi stared at her in confusion, asking what was wrong, goad in frustration because she doesn't want to be with him. At Yuji's home, he was wondering if the demonic planet was doing fine with his disappearance. But since he was on Earth, he needed to find his people and reunite with them. He suddenly got up upon sensing something. Wolf was sitting in front of his door, waiting for him to finish his moment. Yuji asked if he doesn't hate him because he lost during their battle at the demonic planet. Wolf sure hated him, but he realized the difference between them after he took the throne. As Yuji was ascending towards the throne, he knew that the spot was designed solely for him, because Yuji was able to lead their planet and gave them freedom from other planets. They looked at him as a hero, so Wolf dedicated his life to follow him. Yuji got out of the room and said they need to focus on the Lang family for now. Wolf looked up and asked what he was planning to do. Without a shred of hesitation, he proposed they greet the Alliance right away. At the Alliance building, Yuji's car finally arrived. He remembered Kane saying they're not trying to be his enemy. He got out of the car to check whether the place Kane gave him was correct. A man then approached him and offered to help him park. Yuji looked at the man with approval and tossed the keys to him. But as soon as the man grabbed the keys, he told Yuji to hold on for a moment. He asked Yuji if he was coming here without permission again, wondering if Yuji was not scared that he might not make it out of the place alive. But Yuji said he was there to spend some money and whipped out his black card. He was way too casual with it that the man felt awkward. He smirked and said their club is always open for customers. Hearing this, Yuji left and ordered the man to park his car. With a villainous smile, the man agreed. He looked ominous when he stretched his hands toward Yuji. He then grabbed his shoulder and warned him for his life. But Yuji was not bothered at all, flashing a confident smirk. Inside the nightclub, several enemies of Yuji were already celebrating for this perfect opportunity. A woman volunteered to try assassinating Yuji herself. The old man agreed and told her to do as she pleases. But then, their attention was caught by what seemed to be a commotion outside. A man was furious, wondering if the person outside did not know they were in a meeting. He approached to open the door, but the others warned him. Suddenly, the door was detached from its hinges as someone forcefully barged in. The man who opened the door was trapped under the weight of the door. It was Yuji, taunting everyone for conducting this measly meeting to kill him. He teased the man underneath, asking him if being under collapsed doors was his hobby. The man retaliated, pissing Yuji off, so he activated his powers. In one single strike, Yuji killed the man with his demonic aura. He further provoked the remaining enemies and asked if they needed to know his weaknesses. The woman smiled with bitterness, finally realizing who they're up against. While Yuji was taunting them, a silhouette of another person sneaked an attack on him. Yuji was quick enough to notice this as he turned around. Afterward, Yuji flashed a confident smile as the man who parked his car withdrew his attack. The woman was utterly surprised upon seeing this. Yuji stood there, while the man remained unable to move. He turned to the old man on the couch and asked if he was the head of this place. The old man sweats profusely as he asks what he did to their guard. Yuji told him to be his soldier too if he wanted to know. Yuji's technique was taking control of them. After succeeding, he ordered his new soldiers that this place now belongs to him. All of them knelt down in front of him and heeded his words. He then called Butterball and gave him the nightclub. He turned to Kane, asking if it wasn't a hard thing to do, The latter said he was going overboard and insisted on their boundaries. But Yuji threatened to continue assassinating her if she got out of their partnership. Kane had no choice and agreed to his demands. He then asked why she came to that place. She said it was the organization's order and added that Yumi would switch with her. Yuji leaned closer and said he's not asking for favors, making the girls blush. Yumi immediately pulled the flustered Kane and gave Yuji an earful. The two of them continued bickering, leaving Kane fed up with the situation. Yuji sat down on the couch as Kane reminded him not to cause troubles for Yumi. Yuji agreed and promised to take care of her, but Kane looked skeptical of his words, to which Yumi told her to finish explaining. Kane added that the Wanghae of the Leaf organization was so big that no one can really tell its size, and their Jiang City department is just an extremely small section of the whole. Legends has it that the organization is thoroughly controlling governments all around the world. It is undeniable that their influence extends all over the world. Yuji then asked if the Ghost Clan was a part of it. He asked if Kane could help him invite the clan director, pissing her off. She whipped out her phone to comply, though she didn't really want to. She politely called Sheena and asked if she could come to the nightclub for a bit. Yuji was surprised as he realized that the director he's looking for was that old man. Meanwhile, a crew was patrolling the cargo late at night. He was oblivious of the presence of a stalking predator behind. It was already too late when he realized the thread around his neck. The thread tightened and he was pulled up, effectively strangling him. A cat-like man appeared and reported that the outer gates were cleared. Chad came in with his men, fuming mad. He gritted his teeth with the desire to crush the enemies. Chaos ensued afterward as his men fought with the remaining troops. He ordered his men to cease the existence of the Ghost Clan. He turned back, ordering everyone to finish things up and head to kill Yuji. Meanwhile, Sheena came and asked why Yuji wanted to see her. Yuji expressed his dislike for people hiding things from him. Yumi scolded him for forcing Sheena to speak. Yuji ignored her and asked if Sheena was related to the demonic planet. The latter only smiled in response as she paused for a bit. She then looked up, remembering how her king always liked having things in his palms. Yuji said that if he didn't do that, the demonic planet won't survive. Sheena said she had no choice if Yuji really wanted to know. She knelt down and revealed that she's a part of the royalty subordinate team. He looked down sternly and asked for her name, to which she revealed that she's the royal guard named Sheena. That was when Yuji finally recognized her. Meanwhile, Yumi was left confused and wondering if they were cosplaying. Suddenly, Sheena's phone vibrated from a call notification. She picked it up, only to be surprised by the news she heard from the other line. A man was resting atop the roof of the building. It was Luo, a masked man from the criminal clan. One of the henchmen reported the other chiefs resolving the fight. Luo took off his mask and remarked on the possibility of getting rid of the demon gate. He looked forward, expressing how he's enjoying the situation. Shortly after, the 5 Spectre clan arrived and reported that they still have to find the remaining enemies. Luo told them to give it up since they wouldn't be alive if those enemies were present. One of them didn't like his words and asked if he was picking a fight. But Luo was unfazed and further provoked them. The man didn't hesitate and immediately charged at him. It was then that a gust of wind mediated both of them. From the wind, a man named Lance, with flowing golden hair, emerged and told them to withdraw. One of the 5 Spectre clan members greeted him politely. Luo further provoked them, saying they were spared thanks to Lance. The man wanted to fight, only that his teammate stopped him. Hearing that he was still causing trouble, Lance said he'll be the one to fight with him. Luo didn't speak and raised his hand, as if surrendering. In response, Lance gave him a gentle smile. He then ordered everyone to help one of their members who was fighting with Sheena. They enthusiastically agreed, excited to hear about the upcoming fight. Lance turned to Luo and asked him to come and deal with the Heaven and Earth Spectre twins. At the highway, lots of cars can be seen flooding up. Among them was Yuji, wondering if Sheena really gave him the right directions. Sheena insisted that this road is the fastest. Yuji told them to hold on tight since he'll speed up with the pace. Feeling the sudden acceleration, Yumi angrily asked what he was doing. Her screams echoed through the highway as their car went off track. Yuji drove the car, evading the traffic jams from earlier. Sheena saw this and commended the Demon Emperor. Meanwhile, Yumi was starting to believe that he really came from hell. Yuji told her that she was already a part of a bizarre organization. As they were bickering, they were surprised to hear a thud on the roof. It was the chief Earth criminal, a woman with flowing black hair named Inori. Sheena's eyes lit up as she asked Yuji to open the door. The latter only smirked and told her to be careful. She stepped onto their car's roof and faced Inori. She then averted her gaze forward and glanced at the enemy. Inori stood in front of her, flashing a smirk. Sheena smiled upon recognizing her. Inori taunted her, asking if she wasn't on par with her. Sheena wasted no time and immediately launched a kick, to which Inori leaned backwards and evaded the attack. She countered with another fierce kick that almost pierced Sheena's face with her high heels. But Sheena seemed to be enjoying this fight. The two of them continued to clash and exchange attacks. Sheena ducked down and prepared a powerful kick. Her attack tore off Inori's clothes and exposed her body. The latter immediately covered her body, saying she wasn't able to skin Sheena whole. Meanwhile, the 5 Spectre clan members finally arrived. They saw the fight unfolding on top of the car. Yuji was also alarmed upon noticing the arrival of the enemies. Following him were the other two, who noticed them afterward. Suddenly, a massive boulder came hurling in their direction. The 5 Spectre clan members were delighted, thinking they've caught a big one. Yuji came out of the car, remarking on their extravagant way of greeting. Inori threatened him that he would die today, to which he challenged her to try it and see what happens. Sheena immediately teleported by his master's side and reported that the enemies are all D rank, but for Yuji, all of them are nothing but good meals. But suddenly, Sheena stepped forward and told him to take Yumi away and leave. She immediately engaged in a fight with the 5 Spectre clan members. Looking at Yumi inside, Yuji thought that the situation was troublesome. He then knocked on the window and told her to hide well for now. She bid them good luck, believing that they would win. Sheena dashed beside him and said she can't let Yuji personally intervene. Yuji told her to leave these people for him to take care of. Sheena smiled, thinking that the demonic emperor she served hasn't changed. Suddenly, Inori was flustered. Sheena was in front of her, ready for another fight. Meanwhile, Yuji taunted the 5 Spectre clan members to come at him all at once. In response, all 5 of them immediately charged at him. Yuji immediately summoned his ghost, Spirit Lion. The beast roared loudly, inflicting damage to one of them. The injured member fell, while his teammates immediately checked up on him. They wondered where that powerful ghost lion came from. While they were flustered, Yuji took this chance to attack, but the enemies won't let him do as he pleases and charge forward. In response, Yuji swung his arms imbued with his demonic energy. They fell to the ground, while Yuji remarked that they were too weak. Meanwhile, Sheena gritted his teeth as she fought with Inori. The latter commended her, saying she's fitting of being a member of the ghost sect. Sheena proceeded to ask her what they were really planning. She added that if she doesn't spit it out, then she will just have to beat it out of her. Meanwhile, Yuji was complacently toying with the defeated enemies. Inori then revealed that she's just buying time for the others to kill Yuji. An ominous smile flashed in her lips as she began charging purple energy. Sheena gritted her teeth, recognizing the danger posed by the energy to her lord. She immediately turned to check up on Yuji while Inori charged her energy. Meanwhile, the defeated 5 Spectre clan members began standing up. Enveloped in purple energy, Yuji immediately commanded Sheena not to come near him. But being a loyal subordinate, Sheena couldn't let anything happen to Yuji. She immediately leaped forward, determined to help her lord. She gritted her teeth as she streaked through the air and approached Yuji. Meanwhile, the controlled enemy took the chance to attack while Yuji was still off guard. Sheena desperately ran to him, ducking under an enemy attack. Yuji gritted his teeth, annoyed that the enemies already figured out how to use the mask. He swung his scythe at the enemies to cut them down. But they won't go down easily like earlier, making him struggle. Meanwhile, Sheena was also occupied with another controlled enemy attacking her. She grew pissed and unleashed a palm strike that pierced through the enemy's stomach. Yuji's demon hunter scythe also protruded from the enemy's stomach. It was Yuji, teasing Sheena for almost hitting him. The latter was delighted to see her lord unharmed. Yuji smirked, reminding his subordinate that he's strong as hell. But then, Sheena worriedly called him out because of an enemy's sneak attack. Yuji didn't seem to realize that the 2 remaining enemies managed to get close to him already. Sheena was quick to act and immediately pulled him out of harm's way. The enemies continued charging forward, gritting their teeth as they attacked. When Yuji finally realized what happened, he worriedly called Sheena. Flashes of violet energy filled through the place. Yuji could only protect himself as he backed off while the smoke began to rise. What he didn't expect was that there was someone waiting to stab him in the back. It was Inori, telling him to go back to his hell. Yuji winced in pain as he looked at the blade piercing his chest. He gritted his teeth as he grabbed the knife. Inori immediately backed off while taunting Yuji. The latter looked back and locked his gaze on Inori. He then activated his demonic slaying technique called Blood Fury. Skulls made of crimson energy suddenly came out and chased Inori. They bit the latter on her back and clung onto her. She was pissed and turned around, fending them off with a swing of her hands. She smiled confidently, knowing those tricks won't work on her. She then prepared another attack, determined to finally end things for good. But suddenly, she was surprised when crimson energy threads began emerging all over her. She was bound from all sides and found herself unable to move. Yuji grinned, challenging him to go ahead and try to kill him now. He then coldly pulled the blade off his chest. He shattered it with his bare hands as he activated his crimson demonic energy. In no time, Inori was enveloped in darkness. She could only silently beg for help while the dark energy began encasing her. A sphere made from darkness was conjured, and Inori was imprisoned in it. Meanwhile, Yuji immediately went to check on Shina. He carried her with gentleness. He looked down on his precious subordinate, who was injured because she fought for her. Yumi ran from the car and asked if Shina was okay. Yuji explained that she's a bit unstable and needs a place to rest. Yumi then asked what about Inori, who was trapped in his darkness. Yuji explained that her whole being and spirit will be dissolved and she'll become a blood slave. That was when it finally sank into Yumi that Yuji was really from hell. Shina was already stabilized, but she still needed further treatment. Yuji told Yumi to leave for a moment since he needs to save her. It turns out that injecting his energy is the only way to do so. Yuji also had no choice but to do it in order to save his precious subordinate. He was left in the car alone with Shina to start the treatment process. Meanwhile, Yumi noticed something different from the Spear of Darkness earlier. She approached it to have a closer look. Suddenly, she was surprised when two puppet-like entities suddenly emerged out of thin air. They asked her if she saw Shina, to which she mindlessly said she was in the car. The two of them wasted no time and immediately went in for the kill. They saw the car and charged toward it. Yumi worriedly called Yuji upon seeing the enemies running to their direction, but she was pissed when she realized what he was doing inside the car. Suddenly, the sphere of energy that encased Inori burst forth with blinding light. It was followed by a woman in high heels intercepting the enemies. It was Inori. She already became a blood slave and began fighting for Yuji. The enemies weren't phased and continued with their coordinated attacks. They slashed Inori's body in simultaneous swift strikes. But to the newly reborn Inori, these attacks are meaningless against her regeneration. The puppet-like entities were surprised upon seeing this. Inori immediately turned into crimson energy and streaked away from the battle. She headed straight into the car, earning a scolding from Yuji. The puppet-like creatures looked forward, confused with the situation. Yuji asked if they were the heaven and earth twin ghosts. Meanwhile, Yumi was surprised that a mere blood slave was able to block the most powerful people from the Ghost Clan. Yuji was also surprised to learn that they were mere puppets. Shina came out, saying she can teach Yuji if he wanted to learn, but the latter assured her there was no need since he intended to give her the blood slave anyway. Meanwhile, Yumi asked why he was giving Inori out since she was strong. Yuji told her not to worry since he will create more of them soon. At the Bai family's mansion, Ben was sitting with a guest. It was Yuan, the deputy minister of Wanghae of Leaf. Ben asked them to take care of Yumi, who was now a member of their group. Yuan assured him that they will most definitely do it. As they were talking, their attention was caught by an unwanted intruder. A speeding car suddenly barged into the Bai family's mansion. Yuan was silent, assessing what the commotion was about. A white-haired man named Chad got out of the car and asked for Yuji's whereabouts. Yuan didn't seem happy upon seeing the face of the Leng family's fourth son. Chad leaned closer and told him to stay out of this matter. Ben called him out for being excessive and causing a ruckus in his turf. Chad got angry and extended his hands to grab Ben, but Yuan was quick to respond and restrained his hands. He set aside his hands and called him out for doing this first thing after they met. Chad grew more furious, saying the Wanghae organization was meddling a bit too much. Yuan explained that it was because he was causing a ruckus in the Bai family's residence. Chad told Ben that he wouldn't continue this further if Yuji would come to seek him. Yuan turned to Ben and asked for his thoughts. But Ben wasn't someone to turn his back on his savior. He was firm on protecting Yuji. Hearing this, Chad could barely contain his anger. Before he left, he threatened to make the Bai family disappear within 3 days if Yuji didn't come. At a remote hotel, Yuji's car was parked in front. Shina was silently sitting while thinking. Same goes for Yuji, who was silently leaning against the wall. Yumi felt awkward and asked why the two of them weren't talking. Yuji then revealed that he was thinking of ways to save Yumi's family. Hearing this, Yumi was surprised to learn that the Leng family were targeting them. Yuji also knew that the Leng family must have already figured out every connection he has. Yumi panicked and immediately whipped out her phone to contact her family. Then, Shina informed him that Chad had already barged into their residence. Hearing this news made Yumi panic even more. Yuji kept his calm and thought of other ways around his plan. He then told them to go home first, since he had things to do. Shina asked what his plan was, to which he revealed that he will catch some more assistants. At a luxury hotel that night, Wolf and Yuji disguised themselves as wealthy people and went inside. They told the receptionist that they want to book a presidential room for a week. The receptionist told them that their 2 presidential rooms are already booked, but then, Yuji presented a black card and politely requested to help them out. The receptionist asked for a moment, saying their manager might be able to do something. Yuji and Wolf smirked upon hearing her words. Upon gaining entry, Wolf went into the upper floors of the hotel. Passing by their target room, Wolf flinched a little. Coming out of his shadow was Yuji in his crimson energy form. He traversed the ground and sneaked into the room. He turned off his shadow forging skill upon entering the room. The target was Luo, sitting on the couch while wearing his bathrobe. It was too late when he realized that Yuji was already behind his back. He abruptly turned around, brandishing his blade against him as he asked how he got in. Yuji only responded with a smirk and told him that he's now his blood slave. He activated his blood fury technique, conjuring a crimson crown around his neck. The crown's thorns closed in and pierced his neck, effectively ending his life. During his last moments, Luo could only gasp for air. Yuji turned back as he let the target fall to the ground. He turned around. Yuji entered the room, revealing that Luo was there to help him out. He wore a confident smile as he fixed his eyeglasses, then politely greeted Lance as he revealed that he is the Yuji they were looking for. He said that though he wanted to listen to him, the timing isn't that great, so he smirked and gave Lance an option to swear with his blood to become his servant. If he refuses, he will become a blood slave puppet like Luo. Lance looked at him, finding the situation interesting. He knelt on the floor. If swearing to become his slave will make him forgive himself, then he declared he will do it no matter what. He took this chance to open a seal behind him. It was followed by a powerful explosion of light that served as a smokescreen. Yuji did not panic and just covered his face from the smoke. In that short time, Lance already managed to get away from the building. He looked back with terrified eyes, thinking Yuji was dangerous and he needed to warn Chad. Meanwhile, Yuji was fascinated that he really jumped from that height. But he was complacent, knowing he won't be able to escape. At Yuji's will, Luo immediately jumped off and chased after Lance. The two of them dived down from the building. Lance whipped out a small kunai, then threw it at the building and hooked a rope to break his fall. He swung with the rope and broke into a room. Luo saw this as he fell from the building. He stared at him, realizing a projectile was hurled toward his direction. It was too late for him to evade, and he was hit by the attack right in the face. It was from Lance, who was currently activating his energy to fight back, but Yuji was not bothered at all, thinking he can figure out their base if this continues. Lance managed to get away and returned to Chad's base on a yacht. He knelt down in front of Chad and reported what happened. He was stuttering as he called to his master. Chad expressed his... He stood up, crimson red energy swirling around his body. Chad turned around. He knew it was Yuji's doing. He did not hesitate and unleashed a palm attack on him. It was so powerful that the shockwave was visible from outside the yacht. Lance's body was torn to shreds, along with the part of the yacht that was hit, but in no time, he began regenerating and restoring himself. Chad expressed his surprise that he was able to revive himself after that. It was Yuji speaking. He didn't expect Chad to be ruthless with his own subordinates. Without a word, Chad unleashed another attack that prompted him to teleport. Chad threatened him, saying he will be dead shortly. He thought that Yuji's teleportation skills were cut above the rest, so he needed to warn the headquarters. Back at Yuji's hotel, Yuji was standing by the window holding a glass. He acknowledged that Chad won't be an easy enemy. Wolf came in and asked what they should do next. Yuji came out to meet Zank in the living room. Zank presented him a file from the clan elders. Seeing he was not hostile, Yuji asked to whom he belonged. Zank refused to be specific, but assured him that he's not on the Lang family's side. Now that he got the message, he ordered Wolf to send Zank off. The latter stood, while Wolf led him outside. Meanwhile, Chad was seen persuading Annie to come with him. The latter remained silent upon hearing his invitation. Suddenly, the nurse reported to her that her mother requires immediate surgery now. Annie was surprised, while Chad quietly listened from afar. She agreed to the surgery immediately and promised to get the money soon. She stepped in front of Chad, proposing she'll go with him if he pays her mom's hospital bills. Chad agreed, but he asked if Annie knows who he is. But given her mom's condition, Annie couldn't care less about his identity. Hearing this, Chad couldn't help but smirk. Still, Annie silently promises to Yuji that she won't drag him behind even if she dies. Meanwhile, Yuji activated his skill and conjured a crimson shadow behind him. He ordered it to find out who's behind Zank. The shadow seeped to the floor, transforming into a little butterfly. It flew through the window to follow the target. Meanwhile, Wolf asked Zank if there are lots of people in the clans pulling strings. Zank confirmed and asked him to keep this meeting a secret. Wolf was confused, wondering if they should keep it from the Wang He of the Leaf too. Wolf turned back while Zank went into the car and called Mr. Zhu. The person on the other line confirmed that Yuji is a powerful competitor. Zank then asked what will happen if people find out that Chad's plans have been leaked. They continued their conversation, not knowing that Yuji's butterfly was secretly spying on them. All of their words were heard by Yuji, who did not leave his room. Wolf then asked if these people are really trustworthy, but Yuji told him not to rely on bronze all the time, sometimes they also need brains. He knew that Wang He of the Leaf is also using them, but it's fine since they're leeching off them as well. Wolf finally understood that Yuji plans on getting either the Wang He of the Leaf or the clan on their side. Yuji confirmed, saying there's no reason to refuse if they're coming themselves. He's suspicious that Chad kidnapped Annie to threaten him, so he tried to call her. Seeing that she's not replying, he orders Wolf to go and protect Annie at the moment. Wolf smirked and complied to his lord's order. Yuji gritted his teeth, infuriated by the thought of Chad using Annie against him. At the hospital, Annie was seemingly depressed because of her situation. She sat in the corridor, silently praying for her mom's safety. It was then that she noticed someone approaching her. It was Chad, remarking that she seemed to really need money. Though surprised, she confirmed that it is true. Chad wondered if Yuji was not helping her. Annie said that she already borrowed money from all her relatives. Hearing this, Chad went silent and seemed to sympathize with her. Wolf arrived at the hospital in no time. He rushed out to check for Annie's safety, only to see her walking with Chad. He immediately approached and asked for his identity, to which Chad dismissed him off rudely. Wolf told him that Annie is someone important to Yuji, and he won't let Chad do as he pleases. Chad didn't speak and immediately charged an attack against him. Wolf was surprised upon seeing this. He didn't have the time to evade and was hit by the attack directly. The force of the attack pushed him back and almost hit his car. He gritted his teeth as he thought of a way to save Annie from the strong opponent. He charged forward and told Annie to run. Chad was pissed and told him to shut up. He unleashed a powerful kick that sent Wolf suspended into the air. He gritted his teeth as he was about to fall, but Chad wasn't done and leapt in front of him mid-air. He struck his stomach, making Wolf wince in pain. He was sent slamming down to the ground with a powerful force. Annie told him to stop and not fight anymore. Chad turned to her and asked why she didn't borrow money from Yuji. Annie remembered Yuji's situation and didn't want to bother him. She promised to go with Chad as long as he won't harm Wolf. Chad reasoned out that it was Wolf who blocked his way first and deserved a beating. He turned to Wolf, saying Annie saved his life. Annie approached Chad and asked about her mom's bills. Chad promised to honor their agreement as long as she goes with him. Annie reminded him that she would kill herself if he would use her to harm Yuji. Meanwhile, Yuji was meditating in his room at the moment. He opened his eyes, burning with silent rage. He knows that Chad would be an enemy hard to deal with. Suddenly, his phone vibrated as someone called him. He picked it up, only to be surprised by the news that he heard. He was pissed and vowed to kill Chad. He wasted no time and transformed into a shadow, streaking through the night. Shortly after, he arrived at Chad's base and met with him. Chad smirked, delighted that he finally came. Yuji wasted no time and declared that today will be Chad's date of death. But Chad was skeptical if Yuji really had the skill to make it a reality. Yuji wasted no time anymore and immediately attacked. Chad was relaxed and welcomed him, saying this place was a burial dedicated for Yuji. The latter stepped on the same floor level as Chad, but the sight that greeted him there utterly surprised him. There Annie was, unconscious, and laying on a bed of flowers. On a closer look, he figured out that he was still breathing. He also saw Lin tied on a pole, unconscious as well. Chad whipped out another box and pulled the cloth covering it. He smirked as he revealed a coffin containing Wolf's body in there. He smirked, proud at the surprise he prepared for Yuji. The latter gritted his teeth, angrily asking what Chad had done. Chad replied, saying he wanted Yuji to finish this funeral. Yuji angrily told him that he miscalculated. Chad laughed, saying Yuji doesn't have any people on his side now. But Yuji whipped out his scythe, prepared to kill Chad nonetheless. Chad remembered that today should be Lin and Yudo's wedding. He added that they should continue with the wedding, even if a lot of things have changed. But Yuji was keen on taking Chad's life and charged forward. Suddenly, a man intercepted his attack and said he was only there to watch. He added that Yuji shouldn't rush the process or else it will be ruined. But Yuji couldn't care less about him and activated his ghost sword. The man was utterly terrified upon seeing this. Yuji swung down and unleashed a fatal attack on the man. He coldly told the man to go away. But it's not done yet. There are still 3 more women attacking from behind. Yuji only looked at them as he summoned his ghost lion. Its roar incapacitated the women, giving them internal injuries. Yuji stood firm and told them to not get in his way. Another bald man with an axe launched at him, aiming for his head. Yuji got annoyed and cut off his body in one swift motion. Suddenly, red energy came leaking out of the bald man's body. Same goes for the first man who intercepted him earlier. Even the 3 girls began emitting crimson red energy out of their mouths. Yuji turned to Chad with a smirk, remarking on his ruthlessness on his subordinates. Chad confirmed, saying he doesn't care at all since he paid for them anyway. Yuji smirked. It was a good thing for him. He activated his skill and conjured a crimson sphere in the air. Coming out of it was his technique, the demonic child. The floor he was standing on was dyed red as he activated this skill. The demonic child went on a rampage, wearing a villainous grin as he charged. Meanwhile, Yuji was facing 2 more enemies in front of him. The demonic child bit the enemy's head, making him wince in pain. He then kicked another one, who was about to attack from behind. Chad only stood there as chaos ensued. Meanwhile, Yuji told him to come and be his meal. He stood triumphantly with his summons, leaving countless enemies on the floor. He was not fazed at all when Chad told him that this is where it ends. Chad also commended his tenacity, being able to survive against his army. Chad extended his arms and cast his attack. The attack approached Yuji, but he didn't seem to care at all. Suddenly, he swung his ghost sword as a counterattack, but Chad's energy was powerful and it dominated his aura. Seeing this, Yuji was surprised to see that his energy was not enough, so he avoided direct confrontation and leaned sideways to evade. But Chad wasn't done and prepared another attack. The ghost lion was quick on its feet and immediately stepped forward to shield Yuji. Chad's attack directly hit the lion. The demonic child saw the dead ghost lion and turned around. Yuji commanded the demonic child to eat it, to which it didn't think twice and immediately munched on it. Yuji turned to Chad, gritting his teeth as he asked if he's ready to die. Chad was enraged by his arrogance and prepared another attack. The demonic child felt the enemy's energy and was surprised. Chad unleashed a barrage of attacks against Yuji. In response, the latter unleashed a sharp cutting energy with his demonic aura. He gritted his teeth, thinking here comes the real deal. He commanded the demonic child to go, to which it complied without hesitation. It wielded his scythe with a villainous grin on its face. It swung the scythe, successfully deflecting all the projectiles Chad had unleashed. Meanwhile, Yuji took this chance to attack and charged with his ghost sword. Yuji came down on Chad to cut him down. The latter was quick to respond with a counterattack, but Yuji was faster and managed to connect his sword on Chad. He gritted his teeth, crimson energy seething from his wound. Yuji acknowledges his opponent's strength, but vows to kill him. On the other hand, Chad's wounds slowly healed as he expressed his excitement in the battle. He planted his feet firmly to the ground, then balled his fists, expressed disappointment upon seeing that he was this weak. But Yuji kept his composure as he wiped off his injury. He provoked Chad, telling him to try harder since his attacks were weak. Chad was furious upon hearing this and immediately attacked. He unleashed a barrage of consecutive blows, to which Yuji didn't dodge at all. Afterward, Yuji said Chad seemed to have not eaten breakfast because he was so weak. He even asked if he wanted him to order a takeout for Chad. The latter furiously gritted his teeth at his provocations. He launched a kick directly to Yuji's head, but the latter did not move. He caught his feet with his bare hands and asked why Chad wasn't using his full power anymore. He smirked, declaring that it's his turn on the offensive now. He held Chad's feet and threw him to the pole. Chad smiled, delighted that Yuji finally fought back. Yuji smirked as he charged forward, willing to show his enemy more. Chad held onto a metal pole on the yacht, to which Yuji attacked him and kicked the same pole. Chad evaded, but Yuji took this time to free Lin from her restraints. She immediately caught Lin as she was about to fall, but Chad took this opportunity to land a powerful attack on his back. Chad stood there, his palms smoking from the attack. Lin apologized to Yuji because of this, but the latter assured her it was not her fault and asked her to take Annie away. She stood up and assured him that she would get the job done. She immediately ran away to save Annie, leaving Yuji behind, but Chad was not going to watch it happen and launched an attack. Yuji shielded the girls from the attack and told Lin to hurry up. Chad continued attacking, saying they're not allowed to leave until the marriage is complete. Yuji pushed forward, determined to not let Chad's plan happen. That was a mistake for Yuji. He fell for Chad's trap. The skill he activated on Yuji's head caused his eyes to bleed. Chad let Yuji fall down as he approached Lin, but then, Yuji stopped falling. He was thankful that his technique was able to neutralize Chad's skill. Chad didn't have enough time to react. Yuji's fists were already coming for his cheeks. His fists connected, distorting Chad's face from the impact of his punch. The latter could barely keep his stance, trembling as he tried to keep his footing. He then grabbed a metal pipe on the side, wrinkling it like paper. He lifted it up, planning to use it as a weapon against Yuji, but Yuji caught the metal pipe with his bare hands. Chad was utterly surprised, wondering how he suddenly became so strong. It turns out that Yuji was using Chad's energy itself as his own. He wore a cold look on his face, declaring Chad as his last stepping stone to reach level S. He then swung his scythe, effectively cutting Chad's body in half. Afterward, he approached Lin and Annie, who were slumped on the floor. He wore a reassuring smile and declared that he's back. At the Bai's mansion, multiple people were checking on Yuji's health. Yumi told them to do a thorough check because he went against Chad but managed to come out unscathed. Annie curiously asked Yumi what was happening, to which she revealed that she set up people to check on Yuji, while happened to include her too. Sitting beside Ben, Lin was curious, because Yumi was still full of life. Ben answered that it was a good thing for young people to act like that. Lin worries about the organization coming after them because of what happened, but Sheena revealed that Yuji's family holds most of the control over the council. Lin was surprised because they knew such information. Yumi told her that nothing could escape the Wanghee assembly. Yuji butt in, believing that his own people could take care of the assets left by Yuto and Chad. He smirked because he knew that Roby would have a hard time juggling it over. Ben smiled and praised him for being worthy of the organization, but Yuji refused because he had a different path to take. Meanwhile, Lena was sitting in front of a man. It was Yuan, asking Lena for her decision. She was frustrated, asking if Chad was really dead. Yuan asked if the elders of the organization could be fake, while she questioned if the Wanghee assembly could ensure her safety. Yuan revealed that the situation did not go well, and the Leng family won't be able to make it, but Lena pleaded to him, giving the 90% of her fortune just for her safety. Yuan sealed the deal and assured her that the Wanghee assembly would protect her. Lena's face darkened, asking if he could also get rid of Yuji. Yuan's brows furrowed, telling her that she doesn't know her place. Lena seemed desperate because even Wanghee is protecting him. But Yuan revealed that Yuji was a test subject for their experiment, and his death is near. Meanwhile, Yumi wonders how much influence Wanghee possessed. She then looked out the window, and Yuan suddenly appeared behind her. He asked if she was there to deliver the report she had while observing Yuji. She then revealed that Yuji was busy dealing with the assets he got from Yuto and Chad's family. She then added that Yuji was also investigating Annie and her family. Yuan invited her to his office because she holds so much important information. Yumi followed and asked if the place was fine. Yuan then told her that he will reveal things that she wouldn't expect. She was taken aback upon hearing it. Yuan informed her that she could tell Yuji some for his own benefits. She then looked at him with such innocence because she couldn't understand. Later, Sheena delivered the papers that were related to Annie. Yuji asked if she found something. She revealed that there is nothing suspicious about Annie, but she was too similar to Hera. Yuji received a text from Yumi, saying that she had information for him, but before that, they needed the information of the demonic planet's mystical star Gongfa. Sheena refused, asking Yuji not to reveal their secret. Yuji agreed, because not anyone can learn his Gongfa. He then instructed Yumi to set a meeting place. Riding his car, Yuji arrived at his destination. Annie asked if it was safe for him to go outside, which he assured. She looked at him worriedly as if making it sure. Sheena arrived, wishing to be on his side forever to protect him. Meanwhile, Yumi was being impatient because he hadn't arrived yet. Yuji appeared behind her, asking if she misses him that much because he would require a payment next time. But since they were close, he offered her a discount. Yumi didn't respond, instead, inviting them to talk inside. The three of them arrived, with Yuan waiting at the table. The latter then greeted them. Yuji's expression darkened as he asked Yumi for explanation, because they were supposed to be alone. But Yumi introduced Yuan, saying that he was the director of Wanghee Assembly. Yuan then invited them for a seat, but Yuji spoke to him directly, and asked about the information in place of a one-piece idea for the Gongfa. Yuan's aura darkened, saying that Yuji was looking down on them. Souls began appearing with Yuji, saying that he got rid of them by entering his home. Yuan's eyes narrowed, being confused of what was happening. Yumi suspected that it was because of the other factor. Yuji tried to negotiate by saying that he will let it slide if he provided him with 2 pieces of information. Yuan gave in, ensuring that as long as he knew about it. Annie looked at Yuji while he asked if she was a transmigrator. Yuan admitted that she was, but due to being special, he cannot disclose any more information. Yuji's eyes narrowed upon hearing it. He then proceeded to ask if he could dispose of his own family. Yuan was too stunned to speak while the others exclaimed at the back. Later, Ben asked about Yuji wanting to get rid of his own family. Yuan revealed that Yuji might be seizing the opportunity to be the head because of their connections. Yumi curiously asked if Yuji's family really has a lot of influence, to which Yuan revealed that it was a top-ranked family that extends to every business there is. She looked at Yuji, thinking that he was amazing because he is going against everyone. Yuji suddenly sneezed on their way, prompting Annie to ask if he was okay, to which he affirmed. Yuji finally learned that Annie is not Hera but only a part of her. Hera's soul was already shattered, and only a portion of it was inside Annie. Wolf suddenly rushed towards them, announcing that he found something else. Yuji's expression suddenly turned confident, asking where the clue was. Wolf revealed that it was in the headquarters of the Deviant Association. Yuji suddenly got excited, asking him to go quickly and retrieve it. He then walked away and asked Wolf to return Annie safely. Inside the hall, The guard asked to show his banquet invitation. Yuji then showed his black card arrogantly, prompting the guard to allow him inside. Sheena leaned towards him, asking what he was planning to do. He revealed that the association vault was inside and they needed to retrieve it. She couldn't believe that Yuji had such information, because they failed to obtain it after fighting for so long. Yuji left the car, saying that it was a secret. Sheena followed only to find out that he was already gone. She looked ahead and thought that he was really something else. Inside the banquet hall, Sheena wonders what he was planning because he was going against the association. She then grabbed a wine, but someone stole it from her. It was Yumi, greeting her while holding her wine. Sheena made a face, asking what she wanted. Yumi invited her to go somewhere quiet to talk. Meanwhile, Yuji was standing at the top of the roof. He looked at the chimney, thinking that it was a good place. He then let out his demonic mosquitoes and asked them to search, to which they instantly followed. He saw that Yumi was also attending the party, realizing that the assembly knew something about it. Yumi revealed that Annie's soul is gradually passing away, and they needed to find the rest of her soul. Sheena pointed out that Yuji should know about the information, while Yumi handed her a soul-condensing incense that would help them. Sheena curiously asked why she can't give it to Yuji directly, but Yumi simply answered that she can't stand him. Yuji realized that Yumi was still holding a grudge against him. His brows suddenly furrowed, because his mosquito saw something inside. A bunch of his search team was eyeing it, while he was wondering why there hasn't been a single security inside. But he instantly dismissed it, as he flicked his fingers. His mosquitoes transformed into Zank, which instantly went to touch the vault. His hand then formed a fist, and a green energy suddenly surged towards the door. Yuji grinned widely, finding his skill interesting. Zank was now engulfed with green energy, and the vault's door gradually broke. He then went directly inside and knelt down the treasures, finding a lot of gold coins inside the chest. Yuji was surprised to find out that half of the treasure was from an exoplanet he destroyed. He vowed to uncover the truth behind the world he was currently in, but Hera's soul is his top priority. Zank suddenly turned his head when something caught his attention. A purple beam suddenly attacked him. Yuji was taken aback because of the ambush. A man told him that it wasn't easy to infiltrate the association's vault. The man named Jian realized that he was using a blood cultivation from a mystical star. He grew tired of it and raised his hand, while Zank was gritting his teeth. A massive explosion then took place inside the vault. Yuji was in utter shock because Jian was from the Haoshin sect and already surpassed his cultivation. Yuji was eager to fight back as the twin ghosts showed up. He then showed himself to Jian, together with the twin. Jian arrogantly asked who he was because he had the guts to fight against him. Yuji grinned and mocked him for being a crumbs from the Haoshin sect. But Jian dismissed it, eager to erase his existence. The twin ghosts suddenly surged towards him. He was taken aback as his eyes widened. Yuji held himself together amidst the force. The twins swirled around Jian. They then cornered him in the middle, while Yuji fused them together to launch an attack towards him. The twins formed a drill and surged towards Jian, while Yuji was introducing him to the gates of hell to repent. As the drill approached Jian, the latter gritted his teeth and prepared to catch the attack. The attack collided, but Jian seemed to block it effortlessly. Yuji vowed to eliminate him for the atrocities they're committing. That was when Jian felt the true power of Yuji's attack. He began wondering why his attack was so destructive. Yuji gritted his teeth as he pushed forward. He managed to pierce through Jian's stomach. The latter was shocked, wondering how this could happen. Yuji proceeded to mock Jian's wrongdoings, arguing he deserves death. Jian pleaded for his life, promising to do dirty work for Yuji, but the latter threw him away, deeming his life useless. He activated his demonic aura with a snap of his finger. He was looking to meet the many familiar faces in this world. He entered the room where the soul-gathering cauldron lies. He looked at it for a moment, pausing in awe. He couldn't believe that the intel he received about its whereabouts was accurate, but he didn't notice that Jian actually survived and had sneaked up on him. When he finally realized it, it was too late for him. He had no time to evade when Jian unleashed a powerful strike on him. The latter stood ominously, vowing to torture Yuji to death as a revenge. But Yuji couldn't be bothered less with listening to his crap. Jian was enraged after hearing this and charged. Their clash resulted in a powerful shockwave that threw dust and debris everywhere. Yuji then confidently gave him 3 seconds to think how he'd like to die. Jian was pissed and reached out to grab Yuji, saying he should die first. The latter leaned an inch backward to evade his attack. He then grabbed his hands and slammed him to the ground. But even if Jian dies, he was keen on dragging Yuji along with him. The latter deemed him hopeless and summoned the heaven and earth twin ghosts. Seeing this made Jian panic. Yuji threw him into the air, while the twin ghosts grabbed him and kept him suspended. Yuji then told him the history of the Gongfa cultivation. He grabbed his head, activating the heaven-conquering ghosts. Despite being in pain, Jin continued to retaliate and said their chief should have obliterated them back then. Yuji smirked, mocking Jian's chief. He then increased the intensity of torture that made Jian scream in pain. He turned around, leaving Jian unmoving. He walked straight to the cauldron, thinking there was hope for Hera. He then turned to Jian and declared he'll send him to hell. The twin ghosts lifted their weapons and aimed at him. What followed afterward was blood spilling to the floor. Yuji looked down, vowing to investigate the mystical star incident. Back in the car, Yumi asked why Yuji seemed to be in a good mood. Sheena followed up, asking if he found the thing he needed. He turned around and replied with a question, asking what they thought. Suddenly, something massive crashed down in front of their car. Yuji got out of the car to check, surprised by what had happened. They then saw that it was a gargoyle, and on a closer look, the gargoyle's eyes began to glow. Yuji stared at the gargoyle that had just arrived. The latter roared as it balled its fists and attacked. Yuji was quick to counter with a knee on its chin, effectively sending it down to the ground with that one attack. He gritted his teeth and told the girls to stay out of this. He quickly took off with his demonic energy. While the gargoyle tried to stand up, Yuji began condensing his energy, summoning gusts of wind around him. The gargoyle noticed him and immediately went after him. Yuji was delighted to see that the gargoyle only focused on him and followed him. The gargoyle landed heavily on the ground, but Yuji was unfazed. He jumped up to evade the gargoyle's destructive punch, then leaped forward through the gargoyle's arm to attack. He balled his fist, roaring as he charged forward. His fist connected right into the enemy's cheek, making it wince in pain. The punch was so powerful he managed to send its massive body crashing to the ground. Yuji then spoke, calling out the owner of the gargoyle to show himself. The owner named Gilbert came out, surprised that Yuji actually managed to detect him. But he continued looking down on Yuji, seeing him as a mere brat. The latter turned to him with a confident smile, unfazed by the enemy's taunts. He then asked Gilbert who sent him there to deal with him. The latter introduced himself, saying he's there to avenge his disciple. Yuji smiled upon hearing his name, recognizing that he already killed this man years ago. The two of them locked in a stare-down. Shortly after, the gargoyle sneaked from behind and tried to attack, but Yuji was quick on his feet and instantly dodged. He turned to Gilbert and told him he's bored of his measly tricks. But Gilbert wasn't done yet. He had another trick up his sleeve. That was when Yuji was surprised when another gargoyle instantly got behind him. It connected a heavy punch that blew him away. Sheena got out of the car to check what was happening. Yumi got out as well and asked Sheena what they should do now. The latter only replied with a smile, confident that everything will be fine. She looked up to the moon, praying that no harm would come to Yuji. Just then, a massive explosion ensued, throwing dust and debris around. The gargoyle had Yuji pinned on the ground under its palms. Gilbert smiled, saying he never had a single pet in the first place. The two gargoyles stood firmly as they watched Yuji. But then, a powerful surge of demonic energy burst forth from under the gargoyle's feet. Gilbert saw this and was surprised, but he smirked shortly after. Yuji went straight to attack Gilbert, but another gargoyle managed to block it. Yuji was surprised to see that his attack got blocked. The gargoyle quickly countered with a punch that sent him crashing down to the ground. It extended its arms forward, then grabbed Yuji before he could slam to the ground. The third gargoyle then smashed him down forcefully. Gilbert stood there, saying he never had only two pets to begin with. The 5 gargoyles activated the pentacle formation on Gilbert's order, emitting a powerful burst of lightning that surged from the sky. Yuji took a direct hit, putting him to suffering as the electricity coursed through his body. The lightning then stopped, and what followed was silence. Gilbert approached to have a closer look, only to be surprised by the sight that greeted him. There Yuji was, standing unscathed in his demonic form. A gust of wind flowed across Yuji's body as he stood in his new form. He smirked, locking his demonic eyes on the prey. Gilbert was surprised to learn that he was the one whom the Alliance was monitoring constantly. In his desire for revenge, he commanded his gargoyle to attack Yuji. But all Yuji responded was a single punch imbued with his demonic energy. The shockwave of that punch approached Gilbert, who had braced himself for the impact. Yet, the power of the shockwave was too much for him to receive unscathed. Yuji looked at him, remarking that he had become weaker. He immediately leaped in front of the gargoyle, then unleashed a roundhouse kick that almost obliterated it. As the gargoyle suffered injury, Gilbert also felt the pain within him. Gilbert told Yuji to stop as he immediately chased after him. That was when Yuji figured out that he linked his vitality to the gargoyles. He turned around, mocking Gilbert for that foolish idea. Gilbert wondered why Yuji suddenly became an S+ rank when he's only S rank. Yuji casually revealed that it was because he ate his enemies. Gilbert was surprised to learn about this terrifying ability of his. Meanwhile, Yuji wasted no time and immediately charged at him. Gilbert began sweating nervously. He called his gargoyles to assemble and stop Yuji. but the latter was unintimidated by them and kept his composure. He swung his hand, clawing at the gargoyles with his demonic energy. He turned to Gilbert, bored of his tricks. He immediately launched at him and pierced through the stomach, leaving his demonic energy burning through Gilbert. The latter fell and slammed to the ground with violent force. Yuji raised his finger, planning to finally end Gilbert for the second time, but his attack was interrupted when he heard a voice. Looking down, he saw 3 people approaching Gilbert. It was an old woman named Shan, together with her bodyguards on both sides of her. Gilbert was surprised upon seeing her and asked why she was there. Meanwhile, Yuji was greatly confused by this Grandma Shan person. He got down from the air to talk to her. He asked who she was to interfere with his matters. Gilbert immediately urged Shan to quickly kill Yuji, but Shan coldly told him to shut up. In that moment, chills ran down through Gilbert's spine as he began sweating nervously. Even Yuji felt the overwhelming power in Shan's voice. This baffled him even more, making him more curious about this powerful woman's identity. He deemed that she's comparable in strength to his past self before he transmigrated. Shan politely turned to Yuji and sent her regards on the behalf of the Alliance elders. Yuji remained silent, his demonic eyes assessing the situation. Shan said it was all self-defense, but Yuji asked why they would attack. But Shan replied that they were just testing him to see if he deserves to be accepted into the Alliance. She added that only the strongest will survive in this world. Hearing that, Yuji remembered his past life as the Demon King from Hell and went silent. Shan reiterated that it was just a misunderstanding and asked if he's interested in joining their alliance. Yuji only smiled and refused, leaving Gilbert confused. Shan smiled. She expected this answer. She turned away, leaving Yuji standing as his phone began to ring. He picked it up and learned that it was Wolf who's calling. His face darkened upon hearing that something was happening to Annie's soul. Meanwhile, Gilbert asked if they should coerce Yuji, to which Shan told him it was not necessary. The old woman then stopped for a moment. Standing before them was an old man named Theo. He greeted Shan and asked what was the meaning of her actions. Shan then called him out for sending Gilbert to cause trouble for Yuji. Shan added that she was not oblivious of Theo's plots, to which Theo explained he was doing it for the association's safety. But Shan left, saying she knew that Theo only cares about her personal goals. Theo adjusted his hat. He knew Shan was a tough old lady. He immediately called for Zank, telling him to get ready. The latter didn't show up, but he heeded Theo's command. At the hospital the same night, Yuji came rushing in to check on Annie. Wolf saw him and urged him to take a look. Yuji came in, asking about her condition. The unconscious Annie is doing fine, but there's not much time left for her. Yuji assured Wolf that it's fine since he already thought of a solution. He reached for his pocket inside his coat, then pulled out the medicine given to him by Yumi. Wolf took it and immediately administered it to Annie. Meanwhile, Yuji wasted no time and immediately called for his soul-gathering cauldron. The cauldron was summoned in no time, surrounded by swirling green energy. Yuji immediately proceeded to refine Annie's soul using it. He controlled the green energy and threw them at the unconscious Annie. Wolf could only watch nervously from behind. Yuji concentrated as he went on with the treatment, gradually restoring the pieces of Annie's broken soul. Annie's condition finally stabilized as the green energy seeped through her body. Just then, Sheena entered the room and said she's back, but Yuji suddenly fell to the ground, prompting her to worry. Wolf took a closer look and noticed that Annie's condition has improved. But what Yuji has done is just first aid. He still needs to complete the steps. Sheena proactively asked what other items he needed, to which Yuji revealed that he needed the soul-soothing needle. Sheena was shocked, not knowing where to find such a rare treasure. Yuji sat down. He knew it was indeed a resource with intense scarcity. After some time of thinking, he resolved to make one by himself. Wolf was surprised to hear that Yuji wanted to refine it himself. Even Sheena knows that it requires a large amount of resources and funds. Yuji went silent as he stood up. He whipped out his phone to ask Roby, but as soon as the call connected, Yuji heard a clank on the other line. He was then surprised to hear Roby's desperate voice calling to him. Even Wolf was alarmed upon hearing the news. Same goes for Sheena, when Roby said the president will be ambushed. On the other side, Roby crawled to the floor as he tried hiding behind the couch. He picked out his phone, desperately calling Yuji, but it was too late for him. Zank had already discovered him. His phone fell to the ground, followed by his desperate scream. There Zank was, grabbing Roby by the neck. The call dropped. Roby's phone was broken. Yuji stared at his phone. He couldn't shake off the ominous feeling. Sheena told him to go and leave this place to her, to which he immediately agreed and ordered Wolf to follow. At the Ye family residence, Yuji arrived and wondered why the place feels so empty. As they peeked, they saw Roby standing in the lobby. He turned back and asked why they were there. Yuji asked what exactly happened, keeping his guard up. Roby squinted his brows and told him that nothing had happened. That was when Yuji finally understood that Roby was being controlled. He immediately grabbed Wolf by the collar, surprising him. That was the moment Zank chimed in to attack. Thanks to Yuji's quick thinking, Wolf was thrown out of harm's way. The latter looked back, worrying for his boss. Yuji and Zank stood face to face. The former smirked, telling him to cut the crap. Meanwhile, Wolf accidentally knocked Roby down from the force of Yuji's throw. Wolf knew the situation wasn't good and tried to wake him up. Meanwhile, Yuji seems to recognize Zank and says they have met each other before. Zank didn't respond, remaining silent and staring coldly. Seeing that he has no intentions of explaining, Yuji decided to not hold back anymore. Zank initiated the battle with an attack, to which Yuji countered by activating his demonic energy. Their energies collided in a violent clash. Wolf worriedly looked back as he carried Roby out of the place. Yuji's demonic energy tore through Zank's green energy. The latter stopped attacking for a moment and slowly descended to the floor. Yuji stared at him, burning with crimson energy as he stood. He assumed that Zank's actions reflect the intent of the person controlling him. Zank replied coldly, expressing his refusal to answer any of his questions. Yuji smirked, saying he'll take it as a yes. His eyes burned with rage as he charged forward, summoning his demonic scythe as he swung it against Zank. Their battle was so intense that it shook the entire mansion. Wolf continued carrying Roby outside when he felt their power. He worriedly looked back, wondering if his boss was okay. At the hospital, Annie's condition began to worsen again. Sheena noticed this and worriedly checked up on her. She knew that with this condition, Annie won't last much longer. At that moment, Ben entered the room. He told Sheena to go ahead to Yuji and volunteered to take care of the place. Sheena was surprised and asked why Ben was there. The latter said Yumi told him to drop by and take a look. He added that the entirety of the hospital is currently under their family's protection. Ben knew that Sheena was worried about Yuji, so he told her to quickly follow them. Sheena immediately complied and ran away to Yuji. At the Yi family mansion, Yuji's battle with Zank is ongoing. He got out of the house, landing on the ground. He looked at Zank atop the building, thinking he underestimated him. Zank conjured a mini tornado on his hands. He then threw it toward Yuji's direction, conjuring a magic circle beneath his foot and surprising him. From the magic circle protruded gusts of green energy that propelled him to the air. While suspended airborne, Yuji remarked that Zank simply had no openings. He extended his hands to prepare an attack, but he saw that Zank already disappeared from the rooftop. He already switched places, activating his green energy again. Yuji abruptly turned to him as soon as he detected him. He activated his demon form, thinking there was something off. He decided to try attacking once again. Their energies clashed, resulting in a violent collision. That was when Yuji finally confirmed that something was indeed off. He felt like there was something between them, and his attacks can't penetrate it. At that time, Sheena came wanting to help her lord. Yuji was surprised and got distracted. Zank took this opportunity and breathed in to prepare an attack. He turned to Sheena's direction and unleashed a powerful purple plasma breath. The purple beam streaked through the air and tore through the ground. Sheena could barely evade the attack as she jumped forward. Zank then teleported in front of Yuji and prepared another attack. A blinding light flashed on Yuji's face, followed by a massive purple energy ball that engulfed him. Sheena desperately screamed for her lord, who was still hovering in the sky covered in smoke. Zank hovered in front of Yuji's scorched body. He coldly threw dagger stares at him. There, Yuji was unconscious after the fatal attack. Meanwhile, Theo was seen standing from atop the building while watching everything. He looked at Yuji from afar for a moment and paused, then turned around as he ordered Zank to burn him into ashes. Zank looked at Theo, heeding his orders. He let Yuji's unconscious body fall to the ground, slamming to the concrete floor with violent force. Sheena immediately ran towards him to check up on him. She desperately tried to wake him up, but he just wouldn't wake up. Suddenly, a purple energy ball was conjured atop them. It was Zank's, who commanded the energy ball to go after Yuji and Sheena. The energy ball gradually approached Sheena and Yuji. Sheena could only watch as their impending doom closed in on them. It was followed by a bright purple pillar of light from the collision. The whole place trembled as Wolf watched the powerful purple beam. Zank hovered in the air, looking at his own attack killing Yuji. After a short while, Zank declared Yuji's elimination and asked Theo if he had any other orders. Theo told him, via telepathy, to return first. The next day at the hospital, Ben said that he can't contact Yuji. Yumi crossed her arms, wondering what Yuji was up to. After all, Annie can't last much longer in her current condition. It was then that Wolf came rushing to the hospital and called for Sheena. He saw Ben and asked if Yuji hadn't returned yet, to which the old man said no. Meanwhile, outside the hospital, Theo remarked on how they were in a mess. Now that Yuji is dead, men were patrolling around the association, Yuji was hiding at the corner while waiting for the right time. Zank's soul informed him that the association is getting impatient. He then asked Yuji to help him, and he will tell everything he knew. The latter stared at him as he vanished. He smirked, realizing that Zank did not give me the time to think first. He then turned into shadow and went inside the building. He looked around the patrolling men, checking each of them. He noticed that there were patrolling men at every level, so he entered the door in shadow form so that no one would notice. He turned back into his human form and looked around. He found a girl in front of the counter. He went closer and asked if she was Zank's wife, which startled her. She slowly turned her head and asked who he was, but Yuji shut her up and said that he would get her out. He turned into a shadow and went out the building. He was traversing the air while thinking about Annie's condition. He suddenly stopped and turned his head because he sensed something. An arrow suddenly passed through him. It was Zank, apologizing for arriving late. Theo's eyes suddenly narrowed upon seeing him. He then lifted his gun upward. Zank ordered Yuji to take his wife away and keep her safe while he held Theo back. The latter didn't hesitate to fire his gun at them. The bullets surged towards them, prompting Zank to activate his skill. He then flicked his fingers, and a green tornado appeared in front of him. Theo's light bullets were all sucked in by the tornado, but he didn't wave and summoned a bigger one. It then exploded behind him, attacking his opponents with missiles. It landed on the tornado, causing a massive collision between them. Zank ordered Yuji to escape now as he walked forward, but Theo suddenly appeared behind them. Yuji's eyes widened as he sensed him. He shouted Zank's name, causing him to turn his head. He saw how close Theo was, attacking him from behind. Zank froze, with his eyes widened, because Theo managed to damage him. Theo's hand struck Zank's chest, causing him to react in pain. He warned him that those who betrayed him only ended up dead, but his eyes instantly widened upon seeing something. He was thrown away because of Yuji's attack. Yuji glowed in a really dark aura. His eyes turned red as he transformed into his demon form. Shan ordered his men to help and capture him alive. The two vanished, leaving only the traces of their aura. Theo managed to land perfectly in the distance. He lifted his head and his mouth parted. Two shining lights appeared on the sky as he sensed their aura. He realized that it was sent by Shan. He turned his back and decided to retreat because of it. But Yuji did not let him. As he appeared on his back, he struck him really hard with his dark energy. Theo was sent to the ground, wondering why Yuji had such strength. But the latter raised his hand, saying that he doesn't need to know. As he was about to strike again, someone halted him. It was Shan's men, now kneeling on the ground. The man glowed golden as he raised his hand, while the other one did the same thing. Theo was now held in chains while kneeling on the ground. Yuji curiously asked who they were, to which in front of them. Theo panicked, saying that it didn't go as planned. Shan also got alarmed, curious of what was happening. A massive magic circle appeared in the sky, while a purple shard suddenly rushed towards Theo. It struck his chest, causing him to wince in pain. On the other hand, Yuji got alerted upon seeing it. He stopped the approaching shard towards Zank, while the latter was left with his eyes wide open. Yuji noticed that the shards aimed for Zank and Theo. The latter landed on the ground unconsciously with his eyes open. Shan's men protected her, asking her to get behind them, but Shan told them not to worry because the powerful presence left already. Zank stepped up, saying that he had some information. He admitted that Theo is under a powerful man who never shows himself and possesses so much power. Shan turned to him in shock, saying that there's no one like that they don't know about. But Zank added that Theo had a warehouse which he used whenever he wanted to contact the man. He then turned to Yuji, saying that he had something to tell him. He revealed that he was carrying Annie's soul in his body. Upon getting the soul fragments, Yuji decided to go to the hospital. He leaped around the buildings. Upon hearing the information from Zank, Shan decided to check it and asked Yuji if he was coming. But he refused, saying that it was the Alliance business and he was out of it. His gaze narrowed, thinking that he should be wary of the man that Zank mentioned. Arriving at the hospital, he asked Ben about Annie's condition, to which the latter told him that it has worsened. Yuji told him not to worry because he will save her. He gazed at her and found how pale she was. He does not need to make a soul because red fragments appeared on his hand. He looked at it with his brows furrowed. At the demonic planet, Wolf looked above the sky as he noticed something. A massive dark energy appeared in the sky. Wolf wondered what was that. Hera and a mysterious person appeared in front of it. He asked Hera about her thoughts on their planet. He asked how she feels to be the one destroying their planet. He added that if Yuji finds out, he would crash out and kill her. He pushed her down, telling her to be her world's greatest calamity. Just as Yuji finished killing the enemy, he felt an unsettling feeling inside of him. He was left wondering what it is all about, because he already defeated the 3 great emperors, but was still feeling uneasy. The other race was now alerted, asking what was in the sky. The dark energy got bigger and bigger as they looked at it. Hera started glowing as she moved, descending down their planet. She was now engulfed with a massive purple energy. She then surged directly at their planet's protective system. She then halted for a moment, then decided to destroy the demon star as she crashed at the planet. A massive dark energy started engulfing the demonic star, and the man watched in astonishment. The people inside the planet started panicking, while the man was happy about it. Hera closed her eyes, while the man knew that her soul would be disintegrated together with the formation. An approaching light suddenly appeared beside him. It was Yuji, who was frustrated because their planet's security had been breached. He clenched his teeth. As his brows furrowed, he turned to the other side upon seeing the red energy slowly engulfing their planet. The man's eyes glowed as he smirked, finding the perfect opportunity for him. A light suddenly passed through Yuji, which made him confused for a bit. He found out that it was Hera. He couldn't believe that Hera was behind the explosion, but he quickly dismissed it because he had a duty to protect his planet. But the mysterious man appeared behind him, which prompted Yuji to turn around with so much hatred. Yuji goes back to reality, remembering what happened to their planet. Ben asked what he was thinking because he froze in his place. Yuji's brows furrowed upon knowing what happened. He pictured out the man's face but couldn't recognize his identity. He then answered the phone call, only to find out that Shan managed to find the warehouse. He then asked Ben to look after Hera again, to which the latter asked who she was, but Yuji didn't answer and instantly left the building using his shadow. He then arrived at the location, transformed into a human, and informed them that he had arrived. Shan turned to him, saying that they had found the warehouse. The two of them looked at the massive metal door. Yuji's face turned dark as he instructed them to get inside. His eyes glowed red, causing the explosion of the warehouse's door. Shan coughed because of the explosion. She was surprised upon looking in front. They found a bunch of weapons inside, and some glowing and unidentifiable things. Yuji recognized that those things did not belong on Earth, so the two of them then went inside the warehouse. A man clenched his teeth and cursed at the back of his mind. He was frustrated, thinking that Theo spilled their secrets before dying. He decided to wipe it all out because it couldn't be exposed. While Yuji was looking around the warehouse, the man's eyes became bloodshot, thinking that he would die at the hands of that man. He then grabbed the TNT's handle. Yuji suddenly smelled something. His eyes widened as he recognized that it was gunpowder. The man grinned widely and pushed down the handle. The whole area instantly exploded. He raised his fist in happiness while thinking that he got them. He turned his back to report to the higher-ups, but the wind got stronger as he walked away. Yuji and Shan suddenly leaped upward amidst the smoke. The two of them then landed on the ground perfectly. Yuji noticed that the aura was gone, thinking that he left after doing the crime. Shan's men suddenly went out the explosion. They then landed, kneeling on the ground. Shan asked if the two of them found anything, to which they revealed that they secured one document but the rest were gone. She looked at the document, finding out that it was an appointment at the Myriad Leaf Union. Shan lifted her head, thinking about the union mentioned. Yuji asked if the Myriad Union is the one backing Theo. Shan's men answered, saying that if Zank was credible then he was right. Yuji started wondering about the union, while Shan revealed that its organization is not easy to handle. Yuji's phone suddenly rang for him. Annie smirked, saying that she didn't expect to see him again. At the Myriad Union quarters, a massive explosion took place. The people inside wonder about what happened. The Union fell into chaos and screamed about having an intruder. The door then suddenly exploded. The man who ambushed Yuji and Shan gritted his teeth in fear. Behind the explosion was Yuji, arriving inside. He then walked amidst the smoke. The man named Karo wonders why he was still alive despite the explosion at the warehouse. He was in fear, thinking that Yuji hadn't seen him before, and he came for the Union. Yuji then asked if he was the boss of the organization. It confirmed Karo's assumption of him not knowing anything. He revealed that it must be another person while adding that there is indeed a spy in the organization. Yuji noticed something as he continued speaking. Karo smirked and thought that he was safe. Yuji pointed at him, asking if he was an idiot. His eyes glowed red, saying that he hadn't asked anything yet. He questioned why he knew the reason for his arrival, which scared Karo. Yuji suddenly grabbed his neck. He then asked if he was the person that Theo contacted. Karo gritted his teeth, thinking about what he should do. Yuji lost his patience because he wasn't answering. He then suspected that they used Yumi to get information about him. Yumi was listening behind the wall, while Yuji added that they took advantage of her innocence. She looked down because of it, while Karo revealed that there were other spies around him. He also added that he doesn't have a choice, but to follow the command. Karo gasped for breath as Yuji let go of him. The latter then commanded him to tell everyone he knew. A dark aura surrounded Yuji as he threatened Karo. The latter gritted his teeth because he didn't have a choice. Back at the nightclub, he instructed everyone to handle the issue they were facing. He added that they can't let others vomit from it anymore. As he was asking for the confirmation, a shadow appeared from behind. It was someone wearing a cloak that was checking over them. Roby suddenly remembered about the toilets. He asked them to change it to cheaper ones while the cloaked man smirked. A dark energy shot the back of his employee. Roby shouted in horror as his employee fell. He then looked at the cloaked man in front. His other employees also suffered the same fate as the previous one, prompting Roby to ask who he was. Meanwhile, Yuji was asking Karo about the other spies planted by his enemy. The latter told him that he doesn't have an idea, but the other one lies inside the command of the other boss. Back to Roby's lair, he was left with the man while his employees were unconscious. The man raised his hand and smiled at him, prompting Roby to recognize. At the outside view of the city, Yuji was heading back to the hospital worrying about the traitors. Inside her room, Annie stood silently. Yuji finally entered the room and told her that he's back. She then flashed a bright smile and said she just remembered something. Yuji was baffled upon hearing this and asked her to tell him more. She revealed that it was before she flew to the demon star. Hearing this, Yuji fell silent as he listened intently. Back at the demonic planet, Hera was alarmed as her subordinates reported the current situation. Her subordinate stood before her as he reported. Hera worriedly asks what had happened, to which the hooded man reported that the demon lord has been defeated. Hera was utterly surprised upon hearing the news. The subordinate further reported that he saw the demon lord defeated by the three main rulers. Hera panicked and immediately asked him to take her to the place. It turns out that this subordinate was a traitor, and it was all part of their plan. Hera was surprised when she caught on, but it was already too late. The traitor suddenly attacked Hera, who was caught off guard. The traitor unleashed a poisonous energy meant to knock her out. The attack worked, and Hera slowly fell asleep. She crashed down to the floor while the traitor stood triumphantly. A wicked smile flashed beneath his hood as he accomplished the mission. The traitor continued to look forward with a smile. An image of the demon king Yuji flashed in his mind as he thought that he should just wait and see. He then took off from the demonic planet. Arriving at a mansion on Earth, the mysterious leader of the enemies stood in hiding. He flashed a wicked grin upon seeing that they finally arrived. The traitor reported accomplishing the mission as he brought the unconscious Hera. The enemy lord commended his subordinate for a job well done as he received the queen. Hera was engulfed in black, ominous energy as she hovered in the air. The enemy leader grinned, thinking the show was about to begin. He ordered his subordinate to return and stand by until he issued another command. The subordinate smiled as he heeded his lord's orders. The enemy lord began injecting a dark aura into Hera's body. The latter seemed to be in pain as the corrupt energy slowly took over her. She began transforming, black marks emerging on her face. As they succeeded, they immediately headed back to the demon planet. Hovering above was the enemy lord together with the corrupted Hera. The enemy lord smiled as he called Hera and ordered her to do what she must. Zank suddenly arrived and called him out, prompting Yuji to ask what was going on. He then revealed that someone from the enemy's side was inside, which prompted him to run. He arrived inside the house, wondering what happened inside. He then made a phone call, ordering Ben to investigate what happened at the nightclub. Ben assured that he would do it while Yumi asked for a phone. She seriously told Yuji that she has a lead. Later, Yuji asked why she brought him there. Yumi revealed that it was Kane's hospital and she might know something. She paused and asked him to trust her this time around, making his eyes narrow because it weird. Yumi opened the door and called for Kane, while Yuji did the same thing and called for her. Kane seemed to be worried as she welcomed them. She admitted that she was trying to locate him. Yuji lost his patience and asked what it was about. Kane revealed that he had an insider in his group, and Yuji suddenly became agitated because she knew something. Kane looks even more worried because it might be hard to accept. She then reveals that the spy they have been looking for was Wolf. Yuji's eyes suddenly glowed in rage, while Yumi looks at him with worry in her eyes, but it suddenly shifted on fear, as Yuji emitted a dark energy and clenched his fist. Kane suddenly panicked, asking him to calm down. Yuji suddenly asked if the boss thought of her with those. He loomed over her while thinking he would let her live. Kane waved her hand in fear, saying that she had evidence. Yuji remained in silence, but still wary of everything. Back in the nightclub, he asked why Kane brought him back inside. The latter turned to him, saying that she had something to verify. She then touched one of the corpses on the ground, which made her suspicion right. Yuji remained in silence and watched her every move. Kane revealed that her research facility was also attacked. Someone detonated their laboratory, and the wounds matched. She added that her subordinate saw Wolf amidst the explosion. She asked if Yuji believed in her now, but he remained silent. She looked at him and told him that she was being true to her words, but Yuji told her that he needed to contact someone from the Alliance. He then called Shan over the phone, to which she responded and listened. Kane looked at his back with confusion. His call then ended with gratitude. He tightened the grip on his phone as if he was thinking of something. He then announced that he will be going to her headquarters. At the Myriad headquarters, Wolf asked Roby to hurry up. Roby smirked and warned him that Yuji was coming sooner. Wolf lost his patience and punched him in the face. He then told him to stop because no one is coming to save him. The two of them then walked in the hallway, but someone suddenly halted them. It was Yuan asking who he was and why he was inside the quarter. It prompted Wolf to turn around. He arrogantly told him that he had no right to question him. He added that he should mind his own business, prompting Yuan to react. He then turned around, leaving him frozen. Yuan's gaze suddenly sharpened as he repeated Wolf's words. He surged towards him to attack, and once again asked who he was, but Wolf managed to dodge and counterattack. He walked away, leaving the wounded Yuan behind. The latter gritted his teeth because of disbelief. He then landed on the ground because of the impact. Wolf turned and warned him. He continued walking, saying that he won't hold back next time. Yuji showed up, knowing that Yuan wanted to borrow a plane. The latter just stared at them and remained silent. Yuji walked towards them, realizing that it was too late. Yuan revealed that he wasn't able to stop Wolf by taking Roby away. A massive figure appeared behind Yuan, causing him to freeze. Yuji then clenched his teeth as he looked up, while Kane wondered what it was because they were surrounded. The robot charged forward for a punch, but Yuji managed to react fast and kicked it in front. The two girls then rushed and evaded the other robot's attack. They ran away from the scene while the robot watched them. Yumi was panicking in fear and shouted for help as the robot loomed before her. A sudden force suddenly struck the back of the robot. She then turned around in shock as she watched it fall on the ground. Yuji stood tall at the fallen robot. He turned his head with furrowed brows. He shouted in rage, giving them a warning because they never stopped. His eyes glowed red, threatening to finish his enemies in one go. A dark aura suddenly engulfed his whole body, then cut the robots into pieces. He walked away from the scene as the robots fell on the ground and caused smoke around. He walked towards Yumi and Kane, asking if they were okay. Yumi announced that she was fine while asking about their plan, but Yuji was also filled with uncertainties. The robots shut down as they lie on the ground. Kane wonders about the robots from the Alliance being uncontrolled, but Yuji just looked down, not knowing what to say. Looking down, Yuji believed that he had fought with everything, but the ground instantly shakes, getting their attention. His eyes widened, asking what the sound was. A massive robotic figure suddenly emerged from the ground. Kane looked up in shock as if recognizing it. The robot then hit the ground, which caused it to break. Yuan warned them, saying that it was the main system guard. Yuji blocked the robot's attack with his bare fist. He then looked at it blankly. Yumi shouted and called for his name because of worry. Yuji shouted in horror and told them to watch out. Robots suddenly appeared behind the unsuspecting two girls. They then landed and caused the ground to shake. The two of them looked back with sweat all over their faces. The robots attacked, causing an explosion. Yuji clenched his teeth as he cursed under his breath. He then fought with the robot because it had been getting in his way, but it didn't back down and still tried to cover him. It suddenly attacked, causing Yuji to jump midair. He sneered while looking down on it, seemingly losing his patience. A golden beam suddenly appeared in the sky. The robot's hand suddenly emerged from the smoke and attacked him. Yuji's eyes widened in shock as his gaze landed on it. He managed to evade the attack by switching positions. The robot's hand was still extended as he faced it. He gritted his teeth because the robot kept clinging on him. He summoned his scythe and raised it high. His brows furrowed as he charged. He then swung his weapon with force, slashing the robot in half. He turned to the girls, asking how it was. He saw how the robot was gripping Kane on its hand. He then launched an attack upon witnessing it. The robot fell defeated on the ground while holding Kane. On the other hand, Yumi was frantically running away because the other robot turned into a ball and chased after her. Yuji leaped above the sky with his scythe raised to strike. His eyes glowed in rage as he clenched his teeth. He landed a powerful strike, cutting the robot in half. Yumi finally rested while gasping for her breath, while Yuji landed perfectly amidst the robotic corpses. His brows furrowed while looking on the ground. He then spotted something between the ruins. He instantly picked it up and asked them what it was. Kane seemed to recognize what he was holding, but Yumi caught their attention because she also found a wreckage. She raised it high for them to recognize. Lin suddenly appeared and claimed that she knew what it was. Yuji turned to him in disbelief of finding her in the area. She revealed that they had found the similar thing at the dig site of their company, which prompted Yuji to ask if it was an ancient ruin. But Lin told them to come with her for them to see it firsthand, instead of just lecturing around. Yuji's expression darkened as he clenched his teeth. He revealed that the relics were found at the Leng's family. The relics were also neatly stored at their family warehouse. After their fall, Roby was the one who was managing their business. That was the reason why Wolf was after Roby. He then specific spot. Lin instantly announced that it was lying there. A massive ancient door loomed before him. Yuji couldn't believe that the door in front was the ruins. His hand suddenly glowed in blue, telling Lin that he will enter alone. The energy he summoned serves as the light inside the cavern. He walked ahead with a blank expression. He had been walking and walking around but hadn't seen a single end. The energy in his hand glowed brightly. He then raised it in front of him. It turned into a bow, aiming it in front. A surge of blue energy traverses the cavern as he shoots the arrow. The arrow passed through someone, causing Yuji to react in confusion. Beside one of the twin ghosts he fought side by side with, the other one instantly showed up beside his twin. The two of them seemed to be guarding the door in front. They then transformed into a shadow. The two of them instantly charged towards the alerted Yuji, but the latter managed to dodge the attack by leaping upward. He formed a fist. As his eyes glowed in red, he managed to punch the earth ghost in the face and broke its mask. He landed on the ground and let out a massive dark energy. The heaven ghost suddenly leaped upward and charged forward, but Yuji did not wave and stood beside the unconscious earth ghost. His brows furrowed as he looked at the approaching enemy. The earth ghost suddenly tied his foot, making him unable to move. He then let out a strong blue aura around them, sending the twin ghosts in a distance. The twin ghosts halted as if they were frozen. He then wonders why the two were there. He stood with a dark aura, wanting to investigate what happened inside. He directed his gaze at the unconscious heaven ghost, seeing the memories flash through its mind regarding the mysterious man. The man smirked, saying that he will give Yuji something to play with. He told the cloaked figure that he would be using something, and a yin and yang suddenly appeared in front of them. It was the twin ghosts in a deep slumber. He then smirked widely after calling the two out. Going back, Yuji now realized what happened to the two. He looked at the massive door in front of him, thinking what was inside. He then pushed his hand on it, wanting to take a look at the things inside. He managed to open the gigantic door. The thing inside caught his utmost attention, because the man was absorbing the energy of the entire world that humans were living in. It prompted Yuji to clench his teeth in rage upon seeing what was inside. Yuji was standing in front of the massive spirit that was stealing the Earth's energy. His face instantly changed in rage because of it. He clenched his fist, letting out the flow of his power to strike. The impact covered the spirit and caused a large smoke, but it did nothing and it appeared unscathed, while the spirit suddenly glowed in blue. The image of the mysterious man named Haru appeared with a smirk on his lips. Yuji suddenly got triggered and clenched his teeth in rage. He once again launched an attack towards the spirit and broke the stone. He then stood with a darkened expression, not minding the debris falling around. The wall where the spirit was shattered in pieces, while Yuji stood amidst the chaos with his dangerous aura. His mouth parted as he looked in front. Outside the ruins, he arrived with Lin waiting at the entrance. She instantly asked him questions in curiosity. Yuji revealed that it was a mural, and upon recognition, he realized who was behind all of it. Back at the demonic star before, he once crafted a clone in the Star Forge, but he did not expect that the one who would be born is the evil incarnation. The clone has its own will, and it does not follow any of his orders. It then looked at him with a smirk on his face, leaving him behind busy, and instantly vanished without a trace. He was the one residing in the mural. The clone Haru was behind everything that happened at Demonic Star and Earth. Lin was in utter shock upon hearing it. Yuji revealed that Haru wields power that was the same as his in his prime era. He then cursed out in frustration and a blue energy burst in the sky. It then covers and hits the mountain in front, leaving a massive ruin and cutting it in half. Yuji lowered his head and remained silent after. He then instantly vanished in front of Lin. The latter looked above the sky as she watched him leave. Yuji traverses the mid-air at such a speed. He gritted his teeth in anger as he uncovered everything. He also realized that the incident that took place because of Hera was Haru's doing. The demonic star was doing so fine back then, but Haru was born out of Yuji's mistake and ruined everything. Yuji clenched his teeth in frustration because he couldn't locate Haru, but the latter was having the best time of his life ruining everything. Yuji's eyes turned blank because without him, he wouldn't be able to destroy and put an end to it. He was in so much rage, screaming with all his might and emitting a dark energy. A massive eye-like appearance appeared on the city's sky, while Yuji took a deep sigh after lashing his anger out. His eyes suddenly glowed in red. He pulled himself together and tried to think of other ways to deal with it. He was thinking that Haru was not residing on the planet Earth, so he decided to draw power from the ruins. His eyes were still dark, but he found a chance to deal with it. Back at the headquarters, Lin asked about what happened back then, but Yuji lowered his head, saying that it was a long story. He started telling her that he once forged a core from the magical star. He raised his hand and dark energy slowly swirled around the star. He then injected his blood on it and created a clone of him. His flesh and the dark energy he emitted swirl around the star. It then surged directly, and the star began sucking it. It was because he needed someone who would help him at the battle with the Celestial Sovereign, But Haru, the clone, emerged with a natural demonic trait. He was finally born from the magical star and landed in front of Yuji, but he possessed a degree of sentience from the very start of his life. As they were facing the celestial sovereign, Haru concealed his true intentions against him. Yuji was caught up with the battle against the sovereign. The two of them met halfway as their attacks collided. He was in the middle of the fight when Haru emerged from his back. It then instantly escaped the battlefield. Yuji noticed as he looked above the sky with visible rage. Upon escaping, Haru revealed his true motives. Yuji's expression was ensnared by it and he was unable to break free from it. The celestial sovereign then raised its hand above. It caught Yuji's attention as he looked sharply. His eyes suddenly widened and his teeth clenched. It then emitted a massive amount of green energy, attacking directly to Yuji's position as if erasing his whole body. But Yuji managed to cover himself, emitting a dark energy around him. But he wasn't able to escape some injuries from the attack. He failed to activate the seal on the clone that he made. Haru instantly escaped and turned himself into the ruins. Yuji's eyes narrowed in rage as he looked at it. Back at his manor, he stood at the top of the roof as he recalled him vanished without a trace. He looked ahead as the matter faded, but his fist was clenched in anger. Back at the present, Yuji's expression was dim as he told them the story. Kane looked at him with her mouth parted as she heard what happened. Yumi worriedly asked if Haru was now absorbing the planet they were living on. Yuji revealed that their planet is most likely created by the star core, and he was sure that the rules in this planet were created by Haru. He also added that Haru uses the earth to absorb the soul of every person he encountered. He was sure that each person was placed by him on the planet, even those he fought with like Karo, and the confidant he met was also placed by him as his nourishment. His eyes went serious, saying that there is only one thing, which caught Yuan's attention, making him question what he said. Yuji revealed that Haru cannot absorb him because his bloodline came from his own. He announced that it is where their victory lies. Yuji looked down as if he was thinking. He then told them that his existence made Haru fall into chaos. Because of that, Haru began to devour all the energy on the planet Earth. He added that he overlooked an important piece of information. Beside Roby, who became his financial manager, and Wolf, who became his friend that betrays him. He then asked Kane to help him with something. He asked her to find Rini quickly. Kane became curious and asked for confirmation. She then questioned why he needed her in the critical moment they were in. Yuji told him that it was because things had become difficult already. His expression dimmed and told her with authority that it was the reason why he needed her. Lin confirmed if Rini was the girl with innate spiritual energy, to which Yuji affirmed and revealed that he needed the drop of her blood. Kane seemed to understand what he was up to, saying that she could handle it. Her eyes suddenly widened as if she felt something unfamiliar. Kane hummed before falling into her knees, which alerted Yuji. The two girls suddenly fell unconscious on the ground, prompting Yuji to ask what happened. The sun rises in the city, while Yuji was left in confusion because of what happened. The sunlight slowly turned red. The sun then became red with swirling energy around it, and Yuji suspected that the absorption had begun. The mountains began emitting red energy, while Yuji's energy fluctuated with it. His eyes turned red as he clenched his teeth in anger. He instantly turned into a shadow, being mad of everything that was happening. He also surged above the sky, and his power was also being drained away by it. Together with the gathered energy, he also surged towards the red sun. As he was traversing the air, his face became burdened. He couldn't take the absorption anymore and began falling from the sky. He was now descending onto the surface of the earth. He then gritted. He then successfully caught Yuji in his arms and leaped upward. It was Zank, who fortunately arrived in time. The absorption was still ongoing and draining every energy that there was. Even the people around the city fell unconscious, while Zank landed at the top of the building while carrying Yuji. He then told him that he would be in great trouble if he arrived late. Yuji clenched his teeth and was left with a sneer. He informed Zank that he won't be able to approach the Star Core now that it has already started. But Zank revealed that he had a new discovery. He told him that Wolf might not be a traitor. It left Yuji in confusion. Questioning why, he blurted it out. Zank revealed that back in the hospital, Wolf left him an important message. He looked